All right. Good evening, everybody. Later start tonight, but that's not too different from from normal Fridays. It just occurred to me I should actually tab out somebody was asking about this in Discord just a little while ago. All right, I think we're good to go. So, Nowhere Prophet. This is a really neat game. I feel like I should have played it a little bit more while it was in first access, but there was a bunch of stuff that kind of came up. So I played a little bit on my own. Whenever I'm given a key for streaming, I try to stream it as much as I can. But let's talk a little bit about this game and how I got to know about it. So, about the game, Nowhere Prophet is a living game. You can follow the development and leave feedback at the following places: the World Wide Web, Twitter, and Discord. And if you encounter any issues, please report them to me, but not me specifically, me, the author of the game, via support@nowhereprophet.com. Thank you for playing, Martin. Current version 1.00.003, Aruda? Changelog, this is it. After 5 years of development, hundreds of iterations, and thousands of hours, it's finally time for the first big release. Change game version number to 1.00.000. A few little bugs, which, hey, Sean Bean, or the artist formerly known as Sean Bean, Ascanius? Is that how I pronounce it? This is Nowhere Prophet. If you've not seen me play this, that is a great shame, but you've chosen a good day to stop by. Let me just take a minute here and see credits. There we go. Mr. LeBlanc, how are you doing? Did you watch me play Nowhere Prophet? So, Shark Bomb Studios consists of Martin Nerukar, game design, code, narrative design, interface design, 2D art, and audio. Unfortunately, everybody else is not going to be talked about right now. Martin is the one who did the the Unity UI and whatnot for Cultist Simulator, which obviously I did early on, and he reached out with a copy of Nowhere Prophet and was wondering if I could give it a shot, basically. And I played it. I really liked it. No, it is a German game. So this thing has been in development for a while. As the indicator said, 5 years worth. I'm assuming that there's probably some periods of of doing other work in between. But the best way I could describe this, and the thing that really appealed to me about this game, we beat this game already, 2-minute game. How much do you want me to pay for this? I actually should find out how much this game costs. Because you can buy this on itch, you can buy this on Steam. Apparently, this is one of the highest releases in terms of where they got on the global top sellers for No More Robots. I'll explain who they are in a minute. Oh, it's on number 2 on new and trending. And where is this on the global top sellers right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 18, let's get that higher. Nowhere Prophet is currently 10% off on release. It has got a positive review. Out of the 25 that were left, 100% are positive. It is $28.99 normally for Canadian, $26.09 with the current discount. And if you buy the deluxe edition, you'll get Nowhere Prophet, you'll get the Nowhere Prophet original soundtrack, and the art and design of Nowhere Prophet book. So a bunch of cool little things that you can pick up. But anyways, I'm talking about how much it costs, and I'm not talking about why this game was interesting for me. So like I said, Martin did reach out after I did some Cultist Simulator stuff, and he did a great job of sort of identifying that it would be a good fit. I really enjoyed the game. In fact, I believe he did something special where we were streaming it around Christmas. Was the first time I did it, and this opening screen was actually changed to like a badass Santa Claus instead of the traditional cover. So that was a very nice little touch that they did for the game. I had a great time with it, and I've sort of been covering it and playing it every once in a while, but I've kind of been saving up a really big playthrough for today, which is the release day. I didn't actually get a chance to, didn't get a chance. I completely forgot that it was coming out today. I thought it was a couple days later, but here it is. It's a streaming day, which means we get to play Nowhere Prophet hot off the presses. In terms of describing what the game is, you'll obviously see it in a minute, but the way I would describe it would be, it's kind of like FTL, except that the battles are card-driven, so a little bit of a mix between a turn-based strategy game and not a collectible card game, but just a card game, a deck-building game. So in this case, it's a roguelike. I'm pretty bad at it. I have not quite worked out all the tricks, but that's fine because I actually like it when games don't go perfectly for me. It's an opportunity to learn and have fun. But yeah, it's very much up my alley, and I was delighted to find out that No More Robots picked up this game. So No More Robots is, I think you might have seen me occasionally retweet from him. There's a guy named Mike Rose who runs this thing up. They've published some other games like Hypnospace Outlaw. Descenders is another one. Definitely does a lot of really interesting stuff in terms of Discord, sort of building up communities and interactions that way. So for those of you who are thinking about this game, definitely check out the Discord, because I know they've been putting some special effort inside of that. And just overall, it's an interesting British publisher. And obviously, I was intrigued by this game because of its connection to Cultist Simulator, but of course, because I was given a key and had a chance to play it, getting on some time ago now. It's been a great little journey, and I'm really excited to see the game come out and hopefully do so well. I have no idea what the expectations were, but I mean, being in that first rank of global top sellers can't be that bad. All right, so I don't remember the rule book, so let's take a quick look at this. Travel. To reach the crypt, you will have to travel across the dangerous face of Soma. Your goal is to reach the next milestone on the map. Traveling cost. Each day of travel costs food and hope. This means that it's important for you to keep your stock of food and your level of hope in mind. Food you get is automatically added to your stores, but to increase hope, you will need to make camp and share luxury items with your followers. If you run out of resources, you can still travel, but with every step, your followers will starve and desert you, and your prophet will take damage. Make note of the difficult terrain, desert, mountains, or swamp on the road. These regions are indicated on the map by colored roads. Traveling further from the center of the road means you will more likely discover new routes and places or rare equipment. This goes double for difficult terrain. Few others have braved these tough areas, and there are rare dangers and great rewards to be found there. Damage and healing. Damage suffered by your prophet or wounds taken by your followers remain after combat. To heal, you will have to find campsites and other safe places to rest. Here you can spend food to heal your followers or your leader, but be aware that each camp has only a limited opportunity to heal available. You will have to decide whether to heal yourself or your followers. Map nodes. The map shows the nodes. I don't think I'll do all of these. Tabs, but the basics are really important here. I actually like these touches. One game that I thought did this very well was Chaos Reborn, the Julian Gullop game by Snapshot Games. They're coming out with Phoenix Point pretty soon. Crossroads are the basic nodes. Here anything can happen. Camps, safe places to quickly rest and heal. Here no surprises, bad or otherwise, await you. Rewards, these are spots where food or trade goods can be found. Fortifications, here a strong enemy has made their home. Crossing through there will get you into a fight, and a tough one at that. If you prevail, you will get more experience and better rewards. Market, villages, trading posts, and other places. Here you can sell your valuables or buy new resources and equipment. Healing. These places are safe and have other amenities to help you recuperate. Go here to heal your people. Teacher. Gurus and saints can teach you more about your technopathic abilities. Reach a teacher to learn a new card for your prophet. Recruiting. These places are great sources to find new followers. Go here to recruit new people to your cause. Unexplored, these locations are mysteries. They're often dangerous, but you can travel here to discover their secrets. Milestones. These are important places on your journey. They are good places to rest and restock before undertaking the next leg of your pilgrimage. And quests, these are rare and always triggered events in the game. They mark the next step in a special mission. So I'm going to leave the events aside, profits, followers, combat. I'll try and explain all of this as I play it. But I do want to take a quick minute and look at the tips, because I have a feeling that I'll have an easier time of the game if I actually understand how I'm supposed to play it from the designer's point of view. A few handy pointers to help you succeed. Travel tips. Plan ahead to ensure you don't run out of food. Fights against beasts are generally a great source of food. Card management. Card replacement at the start of a fight can be vital. Think about how your first few turns with the cards ahead of you, and replace anything that's either not very good or immediately usable. As the combat continues, don't forget that you can scrap a card each turn. This will discard the card, but allows you to potentially draw more useful cards quicker. Your leader has only room for 4 cards. It quickly fills up, and then no new cards will be drawn. If your hand is full, consider playing a cheap card so that you can redraw next turn. Combat positioning. This is one that I definitely failed at when I first played the game. Positioning is key in combat, and there are a few ways you can use it to your advantage. Units that have passive effects, such as constructs, are best placed behind cover. This makes it hard for the enemy to get them. Hide a stronger unit behind a weaker one to force the enemy to attack the weak one first. And even if the weak one survives into your turn, you can move it away or sacrifice it in an attack to allow the stronger unit behind it to come out and attack. Place a unit behind an obstacle, then during your next turn, when the unit can act, destroy the obstacle in front of it to allow it to attack the enemy. Deck building. When adjusting during your convoy deck, you may want to rotate out important wounded followers so that you don't run the risk of losing them. Keep the different costs of your cards in mind. If it trends too far downward, you will not be able to play strong cards in the later phases of combat. If it trends too far upwards, you are likely to have nothing to play at the start of combat. You can also try to adapt your convoy deck to the expected length of the fight. For shorter fights, about 15 cards is a good size. With a smaller deck, you are more likely to get the cards you actually want. However, if the fight goes longer, you run the risk of running out of convoy cards. Try to adapt your convoy deck to your leader cards. Look for combo potential between those two and recruit or dismantle accordingly. We will leave the rest for the game. So, campaign, travel the crow. I forgot there's daily challenges now, so I'm curious what it takes to unlock the play for score and compare yourself to the world. Every day features the same map and modifiers for all player high. Okay, I don't know what it takes to unlock it, but presumably not sucking is a good start. So, campaign, travel to the crypt and unlock its mysteries. No fancy bells and whistles, just you, your followers, and the wastes. Okay. So I unlocked a new convoy at some point. We've got the Outcasts and the Nomads. I can't remember what the original one was. I feel like it was the Outcasts was the original. And then we are currently only have the Firebrand as a class. So we are Brim. We've got 20 batteries, 60 food, 80 hope. Hardy people heal 1 additional follower wound when resting. Open culture, reduce the cost to recruit new followers by 1. And frugal living, gain 2 extra hope when sharing a luxury item with the convoy. It would be fun to talk about what all these abilities are, but let's just jump into the game and learn it as we go by, because most of these I should remember already. This world is broken. Only the strong and ruthless prevail in the land of ruins. Hope is for the naive and the weak. Until I heard its call from the night sky. A falling star spoke of power and forgotten knowledge. It told me where it would land long before it... Sorry, I was reading chat. Its voice was weak and fragmented. But it carried the promise of a way out, a path to change. And it gave me a purpose. It took me weeks to cross through Soma's wilderness. Its impact shook the heavens. Hissing with heat, the sand around it had turned into glass. Then it spoke of the crypt for the last time. That's neat. I don't think I've seen that opening animation before. And yes, MRI 6. In my preamble, I was sort of talking a bit about Martin Nerukar, the designer behind this game, also worked on Cultist Simulator, reached out and very kindly offered a key for me to try it out. So I've done it sporadically since then. I did like a really big session of it right at the start with like around Christmas time. But it's version 1.0, so I kind of need to. I really need to like give it a good show this time around. Sorry, it's giving me like you're dropping frames errors, but I don't actually see any dropped frames. So, who broke it? The world, Johnny? I don't know. I think we'll have to watch Mad Max to figure that out. Alright, where are we? I had spoken with machines before, but none had been this powerful, this keen, yet it was dying. In blue light, it painted a mandala into the dusty air. With this fractal symbol, it showed me glimpses of ancient knowledge from before the crash. Etched in hard light, it told me how to find and open the crypt, this place of legend. Then the fallen star spoke to me. You help. Power, safety, and knowledge in the crypt. You lead them. As the machine died, its light slowly subsided. I could hear words of prayer and mantras all around me. Others must have seen the trail of fire, heard the star's whispers, and followed it here too. Their eager faces told me that they had heard the machine speak to me. The prophet, they chanted. And so my followers had found me, and together we would find the crypt. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Alright, so we're in camp right now. If I want, I can... Essentially, so the neat kind of idea for this game is that your cards, your deck, are the people in your convoy. So these are all followers. And so if you lose, like... Hey, MRA, thank you very much for the subscription. I don't recall if you've subscribed before or not, but thank you very much for the subscription. My apologies if I've not credited you properly with a resub. So yeah, the neat thing on this is, like, I tend to play something like Magic the Gathering. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for joining the cult, joining the convoy in this case. I hope it is worth your while. Please do feel free to use... This is like a more... Actually, Oregon Trail is not a bad connection. Feel free to avail yourself of these very fancy emotes. You, I believe, have access to this one. And the Eyes of Sin did an absolutely wonderful job with this. So I do encourage everyone to use it and abuse it as often as possible. So, I mean, I play... like Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone or stuff like that, like a sociopath. Like, essentially you have these heroes, you have these units, and it's like, yeah, you know, they've got their own ambitions, they've got their own lives, but, you know, I'm just gonna mercilessly throw them into the maw so that I can win this round. And so in this particular game here, if you do that, like, let's say I did a round, and in order to achieve victory, I, like, suicided 17 of my convoy. When I play my next round, I'm gonna have one card. So it's neat. It makes it quite challenging. I'm actually very loss averse in games like this, so it's one that I've struggled with a little bit. But that's the fun. And wow, they're not kidding when they say you get good stuff for taking the hard road. So there's a neat little thing that they've done here, which is the path is quite a bit wider if you do like for the easier ones. We are gonna have to. Looks like we're gonna have to go through some tougher areas. But honestly, sorry, it looks one way or the other. I honestly think I'm gonna take the really narrow path though, because yes, it's gonna cost us some food. But I think we'll be in better shape for taking on what's basically going to be an inevitable stronghold at some point. One way or the other, we have one journey ahead of us before anything. So, Hello, Masamagoma. I was very amused when I saw you leave the message saying like, "Hey, now that Nowhere Prophet's out, are you going to celebrate the release?" I'm like, well, it's tonight for you. No, there can be multiple fights, but these are strongholds, so these are guaranteed fights for an entrenched enemy. All right, we came upon the wreck of a large modified transporter sitting right next to the road. The vehicle looked in good condition and wasn't gutted as of yet. Who would leave a treasure like that just sitting next to the road? Brim mumbled. So we can investigate or we can move on. Jim the Eternal. Someone who I'm sure a lot of you already know from a bunch of Cultist Simulator stuff, but I don't get to shout out very much. For those of you who don't know him, Jim is another one of the people who did a stream for Weather Factory on sort of the launch day for the last couple of DLC for Cultist Simulator. So if you guys do like Cultist Simulator, definitely check out Jim the Eternal. Can I make a guess here that you were playing Nowhere Prophet? I kind of went crashing straight onto my own broadcast, so I didn't see what you were playing, Jim the Eternal. But thank you to everybody for stopping by. For as I mentioned, maybe for the benefit of those of you who are just coming in as well, the connection to Cultist Simulator for this is Martin Nerikar, who designed the sort of the UI for Cultist Simulator. This is his game, and it is finally released after much effort. Where were we? So yeah, there's more than one fight on the route, but there's definitely going to be a guaranteed fight for us given the paths. You may or may not have impulse bought it. It's very fun, but it's very fun, so you know, that's excellent. Hey, The Exception, thank you very much for the resubscription. That is 1.5 years. My god, I'm running into too many people. So, you didn't, although you've seen a bit, finishing up a goal run and playing some Into the Breach. Both two excellent games, Jim the Eternal. So, I definitely recommend Nowhere Prophet if you haven't had a chance yet, but it's very hard to turn down. It's very hard to turn down more Cultist Simulator, and Into the Breach is an absolutely brilliant game. Thank you very much for depositing your viewers over here, and again, for those of you who do watch Jim, I completely understand if I'm not your cup of tea, but thank you for giving me the chance anyway. Alright, so let's investigate it even though it's risky, and -2 health for the Prophet. The moment we climbed down from our vehicles, we were fired upon. We dove for cover immediately and received a few scratches along the way. Fight! Alright, Bandit Chief, level 2 enemy. It takes certain skill and ruthlessness to keep a ragtag band of raiders working together. So again, if I want, I can edit all of this stuff, but I'm gonna go crashing and we'll explain how it goes. Okay, so we've got sort of 3 stamina right now. That's... I think I'm gonna ditch the Spark Shaman for now. But I've definitely got my next 2 rounds taken care of. Alright, so basic idea is this. It's just like, this part is just like a normal CCG. You've got energy. Energy is basically your mana. It's like Hearthstone in that sense. You've each got health. Now, the really important thing here is that your health persists between sort of components. So what I mean by that is if I give up 27 health trying to take down this bandit, I'm going to have 1 left for the main fight. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start by playing a raider. It's basically, this is a fairly strong unit, 4 attack, 3 health. And that's basically just going to be so I can punch the bad guy in the face. Now, the important thing here is that they've got a total of 5 health, 2 armor, and 3 energy. But I kind of want to see how they handle my this character coming out. I'm not going to replace anything. Well, you know what? I think I'm gonna... I've already got a taunt, and it's a taunt that I like more, so let's see if I can get something better here. Bandit Sapper, Fury, deal 2 damage to the enemy. Yep, this is exactly what I want, so we'll finish this. Hello, Lyrisider. Oh, I'll answer that in a second for you, MRA. You wanted to have a look. Yeah, this is a wonderful game. I wasn't sure if you played it or not, but thank you very much for stopping by. By the way, guys, for those of you who don't know, Lyrazyder is a very entertaining streamer. I did not know of them as a streamer, but they do Enigma Jack in the Box. They do Enigma... what was the other one that I was watching you play the other day? Okay, I'm actually gonna have to go to your channel and figure out what it was. You were playing The Sims recently? Okay, I don't see it in the broadcast history anymore. Anyways, Lyrazyder does do streams. Is a lot of fun to watch. XCOM is what you were playing. Sorry, I can't believe that I forgot XCOM, because that's an amazing game and I love it so very much. But anyways, guys, please do check out Lyrazyder. He is a ton of fun to watch, in addition to being an incredibly nice man. All right, so let's just take a quick look here. MRA had a question here about how does terrain help you? So the game actually does explain some of this with mousing over, which is a feature I always like. Obstacles are neutral objects on the battlefield. They can be inert, hazardous, or even beneficial. In the case of the game here... Oh, interesting. It doesn't actually give you the rule book when you're in the game. The basic idea here is that if this character were to be in front of this tree, they would not be able to attack. So a great example would be the spike trap. So shielded strain, when an enemy follower enters battle, they take 2 damage. So in this case, if I play a card, they're going to start off with being hurt. The idea here would be, let's say that this character had some ability like, you know, deal 2 damage to, you know, to the enemy hero, but they only had 1 health. I would want to put them behind this tree because this tree has 8 health. It's hard to damage, but it would allow this character's ability to just constantly take pot shots at the opponent. So essentially positioning sort of matters in this game. You can have these different things that get in the way of the enemy as well as your own units, which is why it put the trap behind this obstacle here, because it means that I'm going to have to do 2 damage to the obstacle, then 1 damage to the spike trap to actually get rid of it. So anyways, the important thing to keep in mind, they've now got 7 health, or maybe they always had 7 health and I wasn't paying attention. So let's think about how I'm going to handle this. I've got 4 health to play with. I don't think there's going to be any way that I can make that. I can almost make this happen. My monk's going to take 2 damage if I drop the spike trap. Or sorry, if I try to attack the spike trap. So what I'm trying to do here is minimize the damage that I'm taking. So if I bolster this character, they're gonna get 5 total damage. And if I deal the quick shot, it's like, see, this still, I think this is still worth it. So I'm gonna bolster my follower. Quick shot. Now static's going to deal damage to me, but there's, you know, it's better than the alternative in which I take more than 1 damage. So we'll... and actually the reason I'm doing this here, the sapper would have been a choice, except for the fact that when an enemy... Oh, you know what? I did that wrong. There isn't an undo button though. So the smarter choice would have been for me to actually use the quick shot to shoot the spike trap. Then I wouldn't have taken the damage, and I could have dropped the sapper instead. But I didn't do that, so instead my hero's going to take 1 damage. And apparently I miscalculated twice over. So yeah, this is the worst way I could have played this. I think restart the game is like proper restart everything, so I'm not going to do that. Yeah, so I lost that character. Well, this is an easy finish. But obviously I took damage unnecessarily, and one of my followers got knocked down. But that's just me not knowing what I'm doing. Victory, my prophet. One of our own just received a blessing. The follower that deals the killing blow in a fight will be blessed. A blessed follower will, a blessed follower will immediately heals their wounds and gains +1/+0 while blessed. But beware, if a follower gets wounded, they will lose this blessing again. Cool. Okay, so we got some water, crawler gloves, which... Prophet. Here you can find everything you need to know about this piece of equipment. If the item is within our cargo stores, you can also dismantle it here. This will add the item's card to your leader deck and destroy the item. Okay, so special gloves to quickly climb difficult terrain. When equipped, shove, push target follower. And when dismantled, we get pull. I don't think we're ready to dismantle it yet, but... -1 for the Prophet, 1 wound, 3 experience. Again, we could have walked out of that without taking any damage or wounds, but it's early times, so... Are they okay? They are fine. They're a little damaged, but as long as they don't die again, we'll be okay. The vehicle itself was empty, but there was a great deal of spare parts that we could harvest from the engines. By the way, Larzetter, if you're still around, how did you find Surviving Mars? Because I know you picked it up, but I haven't actually seen you play it, and I'm scared that I convinced you to purchase a game that wasn't your cup of tea. A group of riders on rickety two-wheelers sped towards us. Their screams and raised weapons made it clear that they were looking for trouble. We prepared for a fight. Okay, so 8 health and... Okay... I am... The only thing that's a little iffy about this one is that I don't really have any, like, super strong cards to start off with. But I think I can also live with that. For the simple reason that like, right now I can drop, let's say the Wild Hand. I might go for just a simple shot to the face, I'm not sure. But basically 2, and I can either use the bolster to boost the character right away, or I can... Actually, yeah, I'd have to if I wanted to do that. And then the next turn I can drop the Scout and the Initiate unless there's a better alternative. So, confirm. Okay, so let's think a little bit about how I want to do this. I think I will put down... Yeah, I'll give them a lot to think about. So we've got the Wild Hand. And I will bolster... I think I will bolster the Wild Hand. So it's assuming nothing happens to these guys, that's a total of 5 damage that we can do. Not enough to kill. We've got a shot for 2, so maybe it's better. Let's go for pure aggression. I am actually going to replace this one out. Okay, well, the Devoted Guard is at least going to give me some extra time if it comes down to it. You did play Surviving Mars a little bit, did enjoy it, but you lost some interest a few hours in. Still plan on revisiting it, but it felt a tad sterile after a few hours. That's fair. Is a critter someone whose death doesn't hurt you? Oh, you mean like this thing? Yeah, so they're just going to spawn that each time I drop them on the table. So I could draw a Convoy card. Okay, so... Let's switch out the Devoted Guard. Perfect. Okay, so with the Sapper, 2 damage to the enemy leader, so they're down to 6. 5, and then the shot, so... and I remember we get a blessing. Whoever gets the kill shot gets the blessing, so... And we got bread and edible oils as well as 3 experience. The dead bodies of our enemies litter the area. Alright, so we're okay for food. Hope we're alright as well. So in this case, I think we're in a fairly good position to go through the dangerous territories. And then the decision has to be whether I'm going to try and take this stronghold if I'm feeling really bold, or if we heal up and take the easier stronghold. But here I think we'll take the risky route here so that it gives us the option for the health later on. So the Teacher's Shrine in the mountains, the home of a skilled teacher, tower has an active market. The sun has barely risen above the horizon when a small group of people came stumbling down the path through gray morning mist. It was a man and various family members, dressed in rags and pulling their meager belongings in a handcart. We can wave them closer, chance doable, or invite them in, requires 4 altruist. We'll wave them closer. We waved at the man, signaling for him to come and join us. "I'm Mar," he said, and smiled weakly. His family looked famished, staring at us with blank expressions. They were the sole survivors of a nearby farm that was attacked by raiders. We've gained altruists, and we've gained some survivors. Navapalayam. Some of your followers have been blessed. You can see this on the lotus icon on the right-hand card, on the yellow bar on the right. All right, so these are the new people. So if I want to maintain the same, oh no, wait, what? Ah, I get it. So this is my other wounded raider. This is the family. Okay. I can't heal anyone, unfortunately. I can learn new leader cards if I'm so inclined. Okay, so learn from a teacher to add a new card from that class to your leader deck, or meditate to earn a focus point, which allows you to remove a card from your leader deck. Let's just start learning. Click to turn over a card. So unstable weaponry, destroy a target follower with 5 attack or more. That seems really cool. Rejuvenate, target follower heals 6 damage and is pulled. Static charge, deal 1 damage to all units and leaders. I like unstable weaponry the most out of these. Let's see what's in the market. I actually forgot. If I'm going to use them, I should probably get the crawler gloves on, or oh, welcome my prophet. Here you can see all the cargo our convoy is carrying. If we are low on hope, this is where you share luxury items with the convoy. We have some luxury items that you may want to share with the convoy. This increases the convoy's hope. Simply select the item and then select the share button in the lower right. Sharing luxury items also grants a passive effect for the next combat. Only one such effect can be active at the time. We have some unused equipment in our cargo profit. You can go to your leader details to equip the item. Alternatively, you can dismantle the item to add the card contained within to your leader deck. Okay, so the crawler gloves. Apparently, I don't remember how to use the leader screen anymore. It is tempting to... It's tempting to use the edible oils right now because of the bonus to hope. But I think I'm going to hold off on it. So normally I would have used this right away. Because of course there's a chance you lose it, and I don't believe there's a cap on the hope, at least past, this would take me up to 89, so I don't think there's any loss there. What I am going to do, I'm going to start by selling the machine parts. Now, leader. Well, at least I might as well equip the crawler gloves. There doesn't seem to be much reason not to do that. And then finally, let's see if there's anything fancy we can get. So there's meditation beads. If I want to spend 14 batteries, that would give inner strength. When a friendly unit is healed, it gains +1/+1. That sounds pretty cool. 2 uses per battle. I'm gonna hold off on buying that, just because it's over half of my wealth, and I'm more sort of imagining how that will be useful to me, but I want to keep that in mind for future. Okay, let's go to the township, source for new followers, and has an active market. Okay, recruit followers. What do I want? So a few of them are already hurt. So the stalwart, normally 6, so that's not bad. Martyr, overwhelming, revenge, all friendly followers gain +2, +0. Whoo boy. Signal bearer, at the end of your turn, if you have armor, lose 1 armor and gain +0, +2. I'm assuming that's for the signal bearer. Shiram Crusader, shielded, fury, blackout, the first unit or obstacle on the opposing row. Shepherd's a standard 3/4. Amp drums. Mighty set of drums jury-rigged with electronics that greatly amplify their signal. Now they sound like thunder strikes. When a follower joins your side and your leader has 10 or less health, that follower gains charge. Cool. Hello, B-Buck Black. Let's see. I'm debating on whether or not I want to add these. See, again, so the problem with some of these, I'm loss averse, so Martyr sounds super cool up to the point that I lose them. Stalwart definitely seems like one I would want to put. Actually, you know what? I will bring the Stalwart in. I think I'm going to leave that for the... I'm going to leave the rest for later. Okay, so I can go to... I think I'm just going to go for the long and winding path. Yeah, 0 energy, but not 0 batteries. The convoy stopped in its tracks as we heard weak voices calling for help. What the Outriders first thought were corpses were people. They were barely alive, covered in small wounds, and hung out to die. This cruel punishment was reserved for serious religious crimes, ranging from those who stole offerings or desecrated shrines to those who killed holy people. A small group in the convoy jeered and gestured at the people shaming them for the crimes that they must have committed to get such a punishment. We can leave the sinners hanging or cut them loose, and we've already said that we're sort of altruistic, so let's cut them loose. As the nooses were cut, silence fell across the convoy. The sinners thanked us for their freedom. The first to speak up claimed that he was hung because he had been caught stealing food from for his family from the shrines. Others repeated the claim of small misdemeanors, and they asked to join us for a second chance at life. Sarla sneered, "Do you seriously believe that all of them were hung for minor crimes? There are liars and heretics among them. They should be happy that we didn't leave them to rot." So what does it matter what their past was? We will welcome them into the convoy, or we have given them back their lives. That is enough. Nope, we're a tolerant group. As we welcomed the new followers in, Nanda shook their head in disbelief. May the gods give us such amnesty from their crimes as you have given them. All right. Oh wow, we definitely got some interesting folks. We've got a slaver and a slave gladiator. These are definitely folks that I want to rotate into the deck. Do I want to take people out though? Let's get rid of the raider for sure. I'm gonna leave that be for now. How are you enjoying this game so far? You're on the fence about getting it. You play Magic and Hearthstone, so you'll probably end up liking it anyways. So B-Buck Black, I actually got, I played this game when it was in first access. I'm coming back to it from a little bit of a hiatus. So with that in mind, always keep this in mind that most people who are streaming a game online probably have some interest in it, even if it was just somebody giving them a key. But with that in mind, I don't play stuff that I don't enjoy. So what appeals to me? I'm a little different from you in that I don't regularly play Hearthstone. It wasn't quite my thing. But with that in mind, I also did my time in Hearthstone, so it's not that I didn't enjoy it. The thing that appeals to me the most about this game is that it's very FTL-like in terms of its form, so if you've ever played FTL, this map is probably going to look quite familiar. And what I think is the interesting spin for this particular game is that in Hearthstone, obviously, it does not matter how many of your characters dies, as long as you have 1 more health than your opponent when you take them to 0, you've won the game. So in the case of Nowhere Prophet, in addition to sort of this map, there's the persistence of your health. So draining your health down to 1 to get past your first encounter is not a viable strategy. But in addition, basically your cards from your convoy deck are all they're all actual members of your convoy. So right now I have 24 potential cards that I can put into the deck. But the catch is that some of these characters have already received a wound. They're already a character who'd been brought down to 0 at some point, and so I need to heal them. Otherwise, they're going to be weaker on the deck, and if they get a second wound, they're lost, and my deck goes down. So they've done this really interesting thing where, like, it's a familiar enough game for people who've played Hearthstone and such, but it takes what's really good and interesting about roguelike games, and it's definitely kind of become its own sort of thing. So I think there's a little something there for people who like turn-based strategy. There's definitely something for people who like roguelikes. And I also think, while I'm not particularly good at deck building, I think the fact that you have this follower mechanic inside of it really does give something for the people who like deck building elements. So it's a really interesting one. I definitely have recommended it to a lot of my friends who are crazy about Hearthstone. So I'll say it's definitely its own beast, but I think it is stronger for it. And I think anybody who does enjoy card games will find, well, they'll probably actually like it more than I do, because I'm not particularly good at this. Who else do we have? Samir, good to see you. And Mort Van, you feel like the closest comparison is... I have not played Slay the Spire, but some people have mentioned a similarity to it. I'm assuming that's more the duration of time MRA. So obviously, if I were to, if I were to promise that I would do something, and it's been like 3 years since I've done that, you're going to have less and less enthusiasm for that idea over time, I think. Okay, yeah, so B-Buck Black, I mean, I am not you, so I can't speak with authority, but I think this game will very much appeal to what you have described to me as the things that you enjoy the most. Again, I always say this really conscious of, I never want to be someone who like recommends a game to somebody and they wind up not liking it. But I would definitely say, like, I'm someone who's not good at the deck building side, and I enjoy this game, but I also clearly see that so much of the depth in this game is this convoy mechanic and such, and I really think it's sort of its edge. So I would give you a warm green light for going ahead, but obviously you know what to do with your money better than I do. Alright, our path passed by a large dam that blocked the entire valley. It was heavily decorated with flags and ornaments of the Union. A well-maintained road led to the dam, but there was a checkpoint with fierce-looking soldiers guarding it. So we can attack, bribe them, or let Karnak talk. Well, it's yellow, so obviously I'll let Karnak talk. But you have to like roguelites and suffering. Lots and lots of suffering. Yeah, well, that's on brand for me, so... The sergeant gave us a firm look and then waved us through. Oh, that was easy. All right, we can check out the dam, we can check out the powerhouse. Let's start with the dam. In front of the dam, a crowd had gathered in front of a small gate where the head of the committee was apparently giving a speech.
I would never want to belong to any club.
B-Buck Black, thank you very much for that follow. As we stepped closer, we realized that this was some sort of a trial. A group of hardy people seemed to have been accused of treason. They were held in chains and guarded by Union soldiers. The head of the committee was just about to pass his verdict. For spreading false news against the Union and harboring criminal thoughts, I sentence you to death by hanging. So we can intervene or we can watch the execution. Well, you know what? We're going to play the Ultras to the hilt. The official continued, ideas can be dangerous. We will not let our enemies have weapons, so why should we let them have ideas? There was no way we could allow them to execute these people for whatever different beliefs they held. I gave a sign, and then we engaged the Union soldiers in combat. Alright. Union Fist Foreman, level 2 enemy, ready to give their life for its ideals. The fist is the backbone Union, is the backbone Union's might? I think the backbone of the Union's might. Like their mining tools, it's not subtle, but effective. So this guy's got a total of 8 health, and I go first. Oh, there's a lot of territory here. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Prophet, you have a tool equipped, which gives you access to an active power during combat. Power costs no energy, but can be only used once per combat. You can also only use 1 power each turn, as using 1 exhausts your leader until the next turn. Okay, so we've got a Shifty Scavenger. When a friendly follower is destroyed, gain +1/+1. An Initiate 2/3 Raider. Switch out the Initiate. I'm really on the fence about this Shifty Scavenger. Let's see what I get in replacement. I'm also going to switch out the Static Charge. Okay, so first up, the Acid Plant. Revenge deals 2 damage to all units in this column. So this is a liability for me. If the enemy destroys this, it's going to damage everything in the column. So, Spark Shaman, and the Jagged Shards. When a unit enters battle as neighbor, deal 1 damage to that unit. Interesting. Okay. So the question is, do I want to start with the Raider, or do I want to wait and put down my Spark Shaman? The Raider is pretty strong, so let's start off with that. And I already know I want to put down the Spark Shaman more than the Shifty Scavenger, so we're going to switch out Scout. Not bad. So he's going to take some damage. Okay. So if I want to neutralize the Union Grenadier, I can drop the Quick Shot, so that'll get rid of the thing that'll do 4 damage to me. Oh, let's take a look. Column up or down? Oh, that's a really good question. I believe the column would be up and down like this. Okay, so I'm thinking Quick Shot to take out the Grenadier. That way I eliminate potential 4 damage to me. So I don't think there's a way that I can do 8 damage on this go. The other possibility that I have is I drop the Spark Shaman, so they'll do 1 damage to my my friend here, but it'll take out the Grenadier, it'll hurt the drone, and it will yeah, actually I think I like this a little bit more. So then we take the quick oh, I miscalculated there. Okay, so that means that my Raider's gonna get it in the throat. Fair enough. I did it, Bonnet. Wish you lucky for... Yeah, good luck. I hope you really enjoy it. They got Taunt. Okay, so... there's a few different ways that I can handle this. If you get a chance, B-Buck, and you, once you get your first round, if you want to stop by again, I'd love to know what you think of it. But obviously, please do not feel any obligation to stop by the channel. So, 2 ways I can handle this. I can bolster or Blessed Strength the... So I need to deal with the Signal Bearer, which has got Taunt. And the only way I can do that at the moment is to eliminate it. There's no other options that I have to like bypass. I can't do enough damage. Oh my god, thank you very much for the subscription as well. That's incredibly generous. Thank you kindly. I think that's one of the shortest turnarounds we have between somebody following and subscribing, so thank you. Okay, so the way I'm thinking about this, It's either the Bolster or the Blessed Strength. I send the Spark Shaman off to take out the Signal Bearer. And then at that point I can do the coup de grace with the Raider. I don't think there's any other fancy thing for me to do, and honestly, I'm just trying to make sure that I don't wind up eliminating one of my followers for no reason. Because in case you haven't noticed, I tend to be a little careless in games like this, and it costs me. Alright, so we got some fruits and bones, and I took 2 damage from the drone. After the fight, we freed the convicts from their chains. They had no other place to go except to join us. We took a few supplies and then swiftly returned to the caravan. So looks like we got some fancy ones. Legendary. So we've got a conman, 2 conmen, and a vandal. Alright, we'll add them to the deck in a minute. Oh, and we've got nothing else we can do here, so let's... I don't think we can sell the bones yet. I can distribute the edible oils, but... Is there a way I can check out the map? I'm gonna risk it one more time and then we'll distribute the oils. Okay, convoy time. Not cargo, convoy. Let's say... If you played a card that costs 3 or more, return this unit to your hand and reduce its cost by 1. That definitely sounds really cool. Okay, I have enough wounded that the mineral spring sounds like a really good idea, and then I can distribute the luxury goods as well. The Union banners fluttered out over the healing springs. It featured the settlement dominated by an ugly squat structure built around the springs. The miners were busy toiling at the edge of the many pools, filtering useful minerals from the water. Using the single unspoiled well was going to cost us. Pay the toll. We paid a rather large sum and were allowed to approach the streaming mineral water pool. Okay, so we'll rest. First thing I want to do is heal followers, so I'll heal 3 doing that. I can if I want. You know what, let's get a full complement back, and I will heal my leader because that's going to be enough to get me to the top. Market. I'm running short on everything. Now, scavenger armor seems really good because it does start me with some armor, so I'm going to buy it in this particular case. Give him my pants. There we go. And let's share the edible oils. You've just shared a luxury item with the convoy. This increases your followers' hope. It also grants a temporary status effect that will be active only for the next battle. Be aware that if you share multiple luxury items in short succession, only the most recent status effect will be active. Alright, we do have a market, so we might as well sell our bones as well. Okay, so I feel like we're ready to go. What I will do, I'm just going to think a little bit, because my deck is starting to get a little chunky. I definitely want the Warlord and the Stalwart, but I feel like I should start... I think I should put some less expensive ones in, or take some of the more expensive ones out. I mean, it's not a terrible distribution. I can still get like 1 each turn. Do I want the Vandal? What do my other 2s look like? You know what? I'm going to... risk sort of the uneven distribution now, just because I do like all of these, and I don't know the characters well enough to say I should or shouldn't have these people in the deck. So let's see how the Sharamis Shrine goes with our lumpy group. What seemed like a peaceful and quiet evening was interrupted by shouts and gunfire coming from the direction of our first wagon. We grabbed our weapons and prepared to confront the attackers. So looks like... I think this is the settlement. Level 4 Elite. The Shiramis Crusaders often follow aggressive tactics, favoring speed and numbers. So 2 armor, 14 health. This is definitely going to be a longer run. These are all really good. Let's switch out the Spark Shaman. And I'd normally like this Battlefield Healer, but in this one particular case, I feel like this is a card I should be using later, so... Okay, Taunt seems like a lame thing for me to do at the start, so let's do... we'll start with the Blessed Bandit Sapper. And I don't know where I got the extra energy from. I think it was my gloves. But anyways, we'll reinforce. Okay, well, there's the Battlefield Healer again. Though I don't want to discard them. Do I want to have the Devoted Guard, though? This seems really good. Alright, we'll leave it be for now. Okay, this is a neat one. So Pariah, when this unit is targeted by a leader card, it loses 2 health. So I can actually eliminate this thing with a shot. The Conscript, Revenge, all enemy followers gain +1/+1. Wow. The challenge, of course, is that this guy is... this guy's enough to take out this character. So I lose the Blessing, but maybe I want to be okay with that. Okay, so I spend 2 on the shot, which takes this guy out. I lose this character. Yeah, I know how I'm playing this. So we're gonna put down the Slave Gladiator with his first strike. I'm gonna fire the shot on the Pariah to wipe him out. And I am gonna lose the Sapper to this guy, but it means my first strike character is now a 3/3. And that's it. Ah, I didn't anticipate a charge though. Alright, so he's a bit ahead of me now. Let's say... So I've got a Devoted Guard. Yeah, I'll buy myself a little time. The game did tell me that. Oh, this is exciting. Alright, so what am I gonna do with this? 1 damage to everyone, and I could use a quick shot to slap someone down. Does that really get me anything, though? Okay. And for my final trick, we'll put somebody with taunt down. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to take this guy out this turn, so what are some of the ways I want to handle this? If I burst fire, I can take care of this guy, but this guy becomes the next problem. Overwhelming is a really... so damage beyond the unit's health rolls over into the next unit in the row or the enemy leader if no unit is present. So if they barrel into my Wanderer here, that's a problem. I can use the Burst Fire. So for a total of 5 energy, I can combine the Burst Fire and the Quick Shot to take this guy out. That'll leave me with 2. So I can drop the Scout. But then, of course, that leaves the Pariah open. I still think that's probably my better option here, so... I think push-pull is... it's basically just changing the position. I think this will use it if I actually click on it, so I'm not going to do that. But I think the idea here is you push... you move them in the... you move them on the battlefield. And I can probably verify that in the rulebook momentarily. So let's see how this turns out. Are you sure you want to end your turn? Some of your followers in battle haven't acted yet. Remember, each of your refreshed followers can move or attack once each turn. Refreshed followers are marked with a yellow triangle. This is why I'm bad at these games. Okay, so I should have actually thought of that. I didn't even think about the Spark Shaman's ability. So if I'm feeling lucky... I can go straight for the face. If I'm feeling unlucky, I can try and take out the Pariah. In this case, I'm going to go for this guy, and this is just because I think my Wanderer will get me by with the Pariah. I believe... I see what you're saying. That's a really good point. I took Follower as... well, you know what? I'm probably not gonna... well, in the case of yeah, so if I took this guy and pushed him over... well, here's an interesting question. So I can... okay, 1, it doesn't cancel it, 2, it doesn't. So it does turn out that a follower is actually a unit. So yes, you're absolutely right. I could have positioned them into something that would have let me take out both guys. Okay, so I'm not too worried though because they don't have taunt, so... Achievement Flawless Victory. To my surprise, to say the least. So we lost 4... we didn't lose. We had 4 wounded followers, but we gained bread, machine parts, and heretics for it. So yeah, those gloves are actually a lot better than I thought they would be because I thought that was just the positioning of my own guys. Dead bodies of our enemies litter the area. Move on, and we will head to the crossroads. It was just before sunrise when the guards spotted a small gang of armed thieves in torn Union uniforms trying to steal our supplies. They looked ragged, hungry, and wholly prepared to take what they needed. So, we don't have 50. Let's confront them. The guards were on alert and our weapons were ready for action as I directly called out to the thieves. We were lucky that they were reasonable people, albeit well armed. We're not looking for trouble, just wanted some food. We're sick of doing the Union's dirty work. Louisa spoke up. Deserters! They're not to be trusted. Yeah, let's try and enlist their aid. You were soldiers once, you can be warriors again. Take these batteries and help our convoy succeed. Surprised by our generous offer, they quietly discussed it among themselves. A few of them decided to accept our offer and join the community. So, Wanderer and Stalwart. So if I want, I can start, you know... well, actually, I'll start... I'll clear out some of the wounded. I am really short on... I don't know, I think I'm actually okay with that. If I want, I can start like throwing some of these people into the grinder, especially because I believe the higher your follower count is, the more food is consumed. But let's see how this works. So, Royal Keep in the mountains, the next milestone on our travels, defended by King Lizard. A deep gurgle, a painful snap. With a spray of water, a giant armored lizard emerges from one of the rice paddies surrounding the city, a farmer's arm clutched in its maw. Its lazy eyes slowly turned on us, and it seemed to ponder us. It scratched its head for a second, eyes closed, almost disinterested. Then it opened them again, dropped the bloody limb, and ambled over to us. It looked like it had made up its mind and decided that we were a snack worth the trouble. Alright, King Lizard, level 4 boss, a hardened reptile that has enough venom in its body to kill a small army. Highly venomous. After you take damage from a follower, if you have no armor, destroy that follower. Whoa! Alright. This is new. Oh, see, this is what I was scared of. I've got too many high-value cards. Well, see, I have a battlefield healer. That's still not great. Let's switch out the warrior monk. Con man. Incite. If you played a card that costs 3 or more, return this unit to your hand and reduce its cost by 1. I've got a Syngas barrel, deal 2 damage to neighboring targets. So we want to keep people away from that. Yeah, so MRA, you don't, it's, you'll lose if you keep the armor up. You have to, like, you have to take the guy out, so. Oh no, alright. Okay, so I'm gonna do something sneaky to begin with. Well, hang on, let me think about this. So there's 2 things that I'm thinking of. Either I slap this beast for 5 damage, and then I drop the Spark Shaman. Alternatively, I punch this thing, drop the Spark Shaman, and then I just deal with the fact that I take 1 damage here. Okay. I wasn't anticipating that. That is technically what the card says. I just thought you got the first bit of armor. Alright, well, that's life. It really hated that boulder. Okay, so this strikes me as not a bad time to do the push burst fire combo. The only thing is I'll only have 1. Well, I'll just use the reinforce after. Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, well, that'll at least... Well, yeah, see, this is a problem now. So do I want to... I didn't think it was going to happen that way. I thought it was going to put them all along the same column. So, I can take out the really scary one. Remember, you can always attack the enemy leader directly, at least as long as there are no active taunt units at play on that side. Simply drag one of your followers onto the enemy to deal damage. So I'm thinking this is saying it does not approve of the way I'm playing the game. The healer is kind of useless at this point. I need to figure out a way to deal with the Rincha Bull. So what would have been better here would be to push the Rincha Bull to put it behind the rock. There's nothing stopping this from just heading straight for my face, but I won't draw something next turn though, so let's scrap the healer just because I don't... I'm not going to be able to use healing. Alright. Overwhelming. So the Warlord will... Neural Shiv sounds like a really good thing to use right now. Destroy target follower or construct. That'll stop that 7 energy monstrosity from hurting me. But again, that doesn't bring us any closer to actually taking this thing out. Shivved. And... didn't really get much for that, but... whatever, I'll do it. So it would have actually been more useful for me to wait on that one. Okay, so one thing I can think about is to drop my Warlord. See, if I put down the Warlord, Blessed Strength and Bolster, I'd be able to take out the Rincha Bull, but then of course I would lose it next round to once it punched the bad guy. I don't think I have any better options though. My alternative would be drop the Warlord and maybe like the Con Man or something like that. And that just puts some more bodies on the... I'm not entirely sure if that was the right choice, but so I want to get rid of the pup. Now is the time. So I've got 9. I can put down a taunt, which will sort of help. So let's say that's 5. I've got 4 more to play with, so I could also put down the Slaver. Let's see what happens when we do that. So the reason I'm doing that is he'll hit the... So his damage... Oh, hang on. Yeah, I keep forgetting his damage is not his health. So, I lose one of my taunts. And then we finish him off. So again, there's no elegance whatsoever in the way I play games like this, but we got what we needed. 6 health lost, 5 wounded. Hides and furs, meat, and beasts. The dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. The ziggurat stretched towards the skies before us. This was the home of the infamous Raj. From this giant concrete block, the God King ruled his lands. The monolithic building was covered in a myriad of window slits, and bright red banners fluttered from the top, untouched by time. Around the ziggurat, a sprawling city had formed, a mess of huts and stalls where traders plied their wares. So we've got a new class. Let's heal the followers first. Honestly, Brim is in decent shape. I don't have any money, but we can sell some of our goods. So let's go to the market. That's right. So they become wounded, which means that they get 1 less health or toughness, and then if they get taken off the board after they're already wounded, then they're out of your deck permanently. And as you can see, like, I haven't actually lost anyone yet, and that's largely due to the fact that I'm really bad at deciding when is a good time to do a sacrifice. So I'll take a look at what followers I have, but honestly, I don't really think that's a good use of my batteries right now. Return all damaged units to their leader's hand. Reduce the cost of your cards by 1. I mean, that's a really good ability, but that's also like clearing out my my currency. Let's wander around town before we do anything. The ziggurat was open for travelers, but we had to lay down our weapons. When we told the guard that we were operators, an official invited us to enter the palace. The richly dressed bureaucrat brought us to a larger tower in the center of the former prison with sumptuous views of the rest of the ziggurat. It was lavishly decorated with golden silks and carpets, as well as a small army of slaves, ever busy to keep it tidy. We were brought to a hall and instructed to wait, since someone of royal family lineage would receive us soon. Wait. By the way, Johnny, are you still in the chat? Because I didn't overlook it. I just meant to do something a little bit earlier. And it slipped my mind. Yep, okay. So before I go on into the text, one of the drawbacks that I have is that Johnny Big Time... Excellent. Johnny Big Time is like one of the most loyal followers in addition to being my favorite streamer on Twitch. And one of the drawbacks about him being there like at the very beginning of my stream is I'm reluctant to shout him out at that time because it's when I have the lowest number of people who are watching. I need to give you a very strong recommendation for Johnny Big Time here. Number one, he has a very diverse set of games that he plays. He's got a tremendous charisma. He is one of the funniest casters that I know on Twitch, in addition to just being one of the most consistently entertaining. And while I was unfortunately not able to... watch him do this. He just finished the main story for The Witcher, which he has been playing since 1992. He's been doing... He likes to do these franchise runs, so he's done all of the Witcher games, probably against his better judgment. He, I think, is planning on doing Far Cry at some point. But yeah, one of the things that's been really entertaining about Johnny is his franchise runs, but just overall, whether he's done Dark Souls or whether he's played Chaos Reborn for me, he's a consistently entertaining guy, definitely a lot better at keeping the action going than I am. But he also, I think, for all of the shouting out that I do for him, I was particularly pleased by the fact they were able to do a way out together. And he did such a great job of just kind of keeping the energy level up and making me a lot more entertaining than I am. By being there, and that was a wonderful chance to finally be able to show you guys what Johnny's like and what he really brings to streaming. So I always want to take a second and shout him out whenever he's in the channel. And sometimes I run into the bad habit of, because he's there early, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait till there's a little bit more of a pulse in the cast, and I never get a chance to do that. So I would have shouted him out anyway if he was still in here, but I needed to figure out whether or not I owed him an apology if he wasn't in. Also, I sent him the world's best music video, which I'm not going to play on my stream because I'm not an idiot. An older man dressed in expensive black silks greeted us and brought us to the conference chamber with a giant wooden table. A crystal statue of the Raj stood on the table itself. The man, a distant cousin of His Holiness, told us of the Ziggurats' greatness. Then we were asked rather directly if we were willing to conduct a mission for His Holiness, or if we could spare a strong warrior for the Raj's forces instead. So we can leave flips for the Raj, we can ask about the job, or we can decline. I don't know who Flips is. Oh, Flips is a con man. He's a legendary, and this is actually a pretty cool ability, so let's ask about the job. This is a delicate matter, my friends, the royal cousin confided. We would need you to deliver some weapons. The local political climate needs change. The tension in the room swiftly ramped up, and we realized that we had walked right into a cabal aimed at overthrowing the Raj. Let's do it. A helpful slave girl guided us back to the Ziggurats' entrance. Then we were shown to a supply container at the edge of the market. The girl told us to distribute the weapons that evening in the market slave quarters, an area that had seen quite a lot of tension in recent days due to food shortages and the guards' malice. So we can keep the weapons for ourselves or arm the slaves. Revolution! After sunset, we met another contact near the slave quarters, an elderly veteran servant. He showed us the way to a small gate in the fence nearby. We were instructed to carry the weapons to a barracks. If a guard was to discover us, we would show no mercy. So we can sneak in, or we can let Mangista sneak in instead. Sneak ahead, sorry. We arrived at one of the larger barracks in the center, exploring an alternate delivering route at the back of the building. We found some loosely attached planks that could be shifted on one side, and eager slave hands peeked out at the opening to accept the delivery. We're altruists by fomenting revolution. The bloody overthrow of a government. Sure, why not? Let's go to the cells. To our surprise, the entrance to the ziggurat was allowed, though we had to leave our weapons at the door. We were told that the entire complex used to be a prison before the fall. Here, in the former cell blocks, the more influential citizens had made their homes, all in sight of the main control center that was now called the Palace. We'll explore the area. We took a stroll through the area. The living quarters were quite small, and mostly created by joining together several former cells. Our attention was suddenly grabbed by an argument between a man who claimed to be a true-born Raj guard and a youngster who had only recently joined the ranks of the guard. Apparently, the true-born could trace their lineage all the way back to pre-crash prison times. And we have become educated for it. As indeed everyone who watches arguments on the internet becomes more educated. Let's check out the city. Our convoy set up camp at the edge of the settlement in the front of the ziggurat. It was a diverse mix of tents, stalls, wooden barracks, and even some houses built from hardened clay and scavenged materials. There was ample space around the entrances to the ziggurat, where guards kept a watchful eye and slaves were sold to the highest bidder. Let's visit the gate. The main gate was a large metal structure, part of the entrance to the cell blocks. This is also where slaves were bought and sold on wooden platforms. Tax collectors made their rounds to make sure the Raj received his share of the profits. So we can watch the people, we can look for work, or we can sell followers. We don't have enough of that surplus yet. Let's look for work. We walked up to the tax collector's office and politely asked the scribe if they had any work for us. Yes, indeed, said the scribe, a scribe with a satisfied smile. We always have too much work here, and the Raj's forces are not always on hand. You could either assist us, one of our tax collectors, or you could help us retrieve some slaves who have escaped this morning. Let's go help with the tax collection. The scribe marked the location of our mission on our map, and then waved us on so that he could attend to the rest of his duties in peace. Alright, so unless there's something in the market for me, I think we are ready to go, and everything is too expensive. So let's carry on. Now, had I read the... had I read the descriptions, I would know what these different factions are. Let's go through here. I believe this is the sort of robot faction. I don't think, yeah, the rulebook is not available from this window, so let's... Oh, here we go. Machinists. So enemies level 3 to 7 mountains, special Union labor camp. This is a rare spawn of civilization. Sorry, this rare spawn of civilization is a good place to rest and refuel. So 3 to 5 in the desert. This rare spawn of civilization is a good place to rest and refuel by the bandit executioner. Pit 9. This rare spawn of civilization is good. Okay, same. It's the same story for everything. So 3 to 5, 5 to 7, unexplored route. It's a really tough call. Like, do I want to have the wide distribution over time, or do I want to sort of increment it? Let's do a death march. Okay. So our first option is always the easiest one, but what other paths do I want? I am going to get a little short on food, so this would not be a terrible choice. There is going to be a cost, though. In order to claim the food, I am going to have to go up against a stronghold or walk backwards, which does not make any sense at all. If I felt particularly... Nope, I'm going to have to deal with the stronghold at some point. So let's just barrel down the middle. We'll deal with this stronghold. Once we've got food, we can decide whether or not we want to go after the sort of the easier task. If I'm feeling like really confident, I can actually go through the 2 strongholds and just grab as much food as I possibly can and skip the last one. But let's see how things go after this first one. I think it's very hard for me to argue to go through any path that isn't this first one, simply because if I go down here, I know I'm going to have to deal with at least one stronghold, and I may not have the food for it. If I go up here, I get nothing, and I'm going to have to either continue to go down narrow paths until I get to this stronghold, or I go out and around. So I think in this one, it gives me early food. I'm going to be able to make a decision in terms of what I want to do afterwards. And with the extra food, I might be able to try and get around some of the scarier stuff. We came to a strange new landscape, which oddly lacked any vegetation. The ground was uncomfortably hot, and the air reeked of rotten eggs. 2 shabby-looking fellows with gas masks, weathered gray ponchos, and spears waited for us in the middle of the road. They warned us of the treacherous trail ahead and offered their services as guides. So we can hire them or ignore them. Let's hire them. Their price was high, but we might have suffered terrible losses without their guidance. The road proved to be rather dangerous. One step on to the side and we could have been swallowed by sinkholes or drowned in toxic mud. Our convoy approached a fortified structure. Behind a rough barricade that consisted of rubble, wire, and wooden stakes, smoke rose from a handful of buildings. The gate to the settlement was closed, and guards were watching us from the towers. Let's investigate. Head scouts checked around the fort and make sure there wasn't an ambush. They reported back after a while that it wasn't a normal settlement, and there were snipers hiding from the fort's margins. So we can attack or move on. Let's attack. Bandit Marauder, level 4 enemy. Many of the bodies making up the raider parties aren't malicious or criminal, just desperate. And yet, I'm still an altruist. I may not need the neural shiv. Let's risk that. I'm gonna keep the Warlord though. That gives me a late one. So we'll start by dropping the the raider. Alright, so they just got a whole bunch of stuff. So if I want, I can raise this to 6 attack, but that's still not going to deal with my problems. So if I attack this guy, I'm down to 1 health. Oh, but then I have the stalwart, so... Oh, but I don't have the stalwart now. So... What? Against my better judgment, I'm gonna put all my eggs in one basket. Still really hate those obstacles. Okay, Warrior Monk is gonna be a small problem. The Veteran Slaver does a ridiculous amount of damage. I gotta find a clever way of getting rid of the taunt. I don't have a clever way of getting rid of the taunt. I don't think there's anything else for me to do here other than just finish the job. Oh. That was taunt, is why I needed to use the shiv. Alright, -1 health for the Prophet, 1 wound, 11 fruits, which is good news, 7 lumber. Dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. And we're going to carry on with the journey we had, although I am going to get rid of... So my Hermit was damaged, but I don't think I have a replacement Hermit, so... That's actually an interesting question. I think adding... So I do want a level 6 card. Question is whether or not I want... I think I'm going to add these Wanderer. I think I'm just going to go for like a full deck at this point. And this Bandit Sapper has served me well in the past as well. So of course the drawback here, this is the problem I had every time I played games like Magic, which is I would always fill up my deck, but I'd never put like a lot of careful thought into it. And so I'd always wind up with sort of this mush. But I'm probably going to go to the limit. The road became increasingly difficult, proving more exhausting for us than expected. Our outriders spotted smoke in the distance. We arrived at a scene of carnage. A group of traders and their wagons had been attacked by a hill tribe raiders, but managed to fend them off, albeit with heavy losses. They were in the middle of constructing a large pyre for at least a dozen bodies, so we can help them. That will cost us food and hope, which we don't really have, but I feel like we should do the right thing. We stopped for a while and helped them. Much of their food supplies had been destroyed with one of their wagons, so we gave them some of ours. In return, they traded us a decent weapon that had no owner anymore. So, the sword will give me Hasty Strike, deal 4 damage to target enemy unit or obstacle. You take retaliation damage. Alternatively, we can dismantle it, deal 2 damage to an enemy in the frontline position. I think dismantling this one will probably be a good idea. Oh, and apparently I've been able to level up for a while. Level up to increase your maximum health and learn a new card. Pick, yes. Okay, so... All your followers take 1 damage and gain +2 + 0 until your next turn. I think I'll do Battle Cry. You've just increased your level profit. This adds a selected card to your leader deck. Whenever you level up, you also increase your maximum health and gain focus points. These are used to trim your leader deck. Removing cards that are not useful or strong enough is helpful because it will improve the chance that you draw the cards that you want. Okay. Before I do that, I'm not going to edit the deck yet, but I am going to get rid... Oh, maybe I can only do this when I'm actually at camp. Apparently I can level up again, but I don't have the... Oh, wow. I've got 2 levels. Okay, I forgot that that's how I level up. So, it looks like I can't dismantle things until I'm at a proper camp. So let's carry on. We came upon a group of traders that were traveling in the opposite direction. Their guards gave us a cautious look, but the merchants themselves greeted us cordially and asked if we needed any goods. So, we can trade, but I don't think purchase the luxury goods. Can't afford it. Alright, the sun had barely risen above the horizon when a small group of people came stumbling down the path through the grey morning mist. It was a man and various family members dressed in rags and pulling their meager belongings in a handcart. We can wave them closer or invite them in. We'll invite them in. We waved the man, signaling him to come closer and join us. I'm Mar, he says, and smiled weakly. His family looked famished, staring at us with blank expressions. They were the sole survivors of a nearby farm that was attacked by raiders. So, not a moment too soon to get to the crossroads with the food, but how much food we get is another question. We found a dead pack animal that must have gotten separated from its caravan. Its carcass was rotten, but some of the canned food in its cargo bags was still good to go. So we gained 33. All right, let's see how the fight goes. Fierce gunfire erupted along our flanks. We dove for cover and returned fire, willing to stop the unknown aggressors with whatever it took. Alright, whipped into a frenzy by religious fervor and ascetic practices. Jesus, level 7. A battle group led by a fanatic can be like a raging storm. So he's got Butcher's Glee. When the last enemy unit is destroyed, regain 1 energy. And Inspired Troops. At the end of your turn, all friendly units gain +1/+1. Thankfully, it only has one use left. So lots of health. I think we can handle it. Okay, static charges if I'm feeling particularly nasty. I don't know what this obstacle does, which is unfortunate. I do kind of like this Conman Raider combo here, so we'll confirm. Revenge Attacker's Convoy gains Believer points. I'm not sure what Believer points are. Okay, so I'm going to start by playing the Conman. The idea here is that I'll be able to... Listen, it's complicated. I'm going to be able to attack them, and then when I put down the Raider, they're going to go back into my hand. I think I'm going to take my chances with the draw. Fair enough. I mean, again, this is the advantage of how this works, right? If I feel so inclined, you know, I bring the Raider down and this guy gets all of his health back, so... Let me just double check the ability. That costs 3 or more. I'm actually going to put down the Veteran Slaver first, just because they're stronger. It's a leader card. My bad. Alright, fair enough. One day I'll learn to actually read these things. Okay. So, the age-old question, is there a fancy way that I can take this guy out this turn? I'm assuming the easy answer to that is no. if I'm inclined, I can drop 2 static charges. That'll damage me, but it will... it's not actually... That's really not my best choice here. I didn't want to do it that way. Okay, well, this won't be pretty, but... See, that problem with this is that the deserter is going to be able to take out my veteran slaver. So, I've got 6 to play with. I think I'm just going to bring the numbers on this. Well, I am in a bit of a pickle after that. So how do I want to handle this? Could do a static charge and a quick shot to get rid of one of the 2s, but that doesn't really get me much. Well, so essentially I want to... They're not obligated to, but I want to make them pay if they go after me. Okay, yeah, so I'm gonna take 8 damage. I am in trouble, and I don't think I'm gonna get out of this. So first up, let's do reinforce, because if I'm just gonna drop these guys down, I'm sending them to their deaths. If I put down the warlord, that gives me 5 damage. Now the first strike adds an interesting dimension to this. It's not great, but it gives me a little more to work with. Hermit's free. Okay, so again, just picking away what I can. And I think I'm going to keep the Neural Shiv, so... Alright, well that gives me a little bit more energy than I thought I would have with the unstable weaponry. How am I going to take advantage of that, though? Well, and one way or the other I'm going to want to do that, so... Gonna bring on sort of the most survivable. And let's leave it be. Well, I mean, compared to what we were facing down before, that's actually not the worst possible outcome. Okay, let's put these two down. The bigger question is whether or not I want to get the shot off. I think I'm gonna... I feel bad about sitting on all of this stuff, but if there's like a taunt that pops up that I need the 2 damage for, I'm never gonna forgive myself. Okay, so we made it. But at a pretty high cost. -14 for the Prophet, 7 wounded, and we lost 1 follower, our Hermit. We gained 11 vegetables, 7 machine parts, and 3 zealots. The dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something kind of wacky here, and I think this is just because I have... oh, I did not know this. So apparently you get a discount if they're wounded. So what I was actually going to do here, and I think I'm still going to do it, I believe the larger your following gets, the higher the cost everything is. So I'm going to make the slightly dubious decision to fill my hand with a lot of weaker people, and we're going to thin out the herd this way. Okay, so Devoted Guard. Do I have any of those right now? I do not. Well... okay, so is there anything I want to thin out? Nope, we've got a Reveler. Not really. I mean... There, now I've got a full deck. Let's see how this... let's see how this goes. The pathhood was blocked by barricades, and a band of feral warriors spawning primitive weapons and bright decorative scars were crouching behind it. We also spotted some of them lurking on either side of the road. An audibly nervous voice shouted from the barricade, demanding a tribute for passing. Attack! Level 5 enemy, 13 health. The best chieftains combine a strong hand with innate knowledge of their people's skills and weaknesses. So I really want to minimize the damage that I take here. I'm okay with this. Round 1, round 2, round 3, and I'm going to get rid of static charge just because I really can't afford to be taking damage here. So, first up, the Raider. Oof. Alright. First strike will stop that nonsense. We're probably going to lose this guy, which we paid money for, but... maybe not. Yes, we will. Gain +1, +0 for every convoy card in your hand. Interesting. I don't have any charge, unfortunately, so what I'm going to do, following this plan to prevent myself from taking any damage, I'm going to put the Stalwart right up front. I'm going to keep with what we've got right now. Ouch. There goes my taunt. I did not know that that had charge. First things first, I get the Wanderer for free. Actually, yeah, so the Reveler is not going to be too helpful in this context, but so I want to make sure that the Reveler attacks before I play any other cards. And none of them have taunt, which is good news for me. I just want to double check this. So take 1 damage, gain +2/+0. So the Wanderer I would lose. I just got to think a little bit about this. So I've got 4 damage right now. I can go up to 5, 7. But I don't have enough to seal the deal. So it's not worth it. I feel like I should get rid of the Black Scale Garm before anything else. Okay, first things first. Punch to the face. I mean, the other alternative is I do Blessed Strength, but then that's just going to let them decide when they want to attack. So, but this is my taunt character, so I'm inviting them to do a bunch of damage to me, and they actually have enough to kill me. Actually, I don't really have any way around that. They're going to kill me one way or the other. So if they wanted to end this, Garm takes out my taunt. So I suppose the question is now, do I want to just like drop as many cards on the table as I can, hope for the best, or do I try and switch out, say, something like this Raider for some other taunt? Let's try that. Yeah, it doesn't have taunt, so well, we'll put a brave face on it. With that last attack, we had broken the will of the enemy. Wounded and disheartened, they meekly offered their surrender. Yes. The remaining enemies ditched their weapons and dropped to their knees. Recruit them. Our words touched the hearts of our former enemies, and they saw our true purpose and joined our ranks. Is there cannibalism in this game, out of curiosity? Well, we got some water. Our enemies have faltered before our power. Now, I am not feeling at all confident in terms of taking out this fortified position, but I don't really have that many options. Revenge spawn 3 beasts sounds like a wonderful ability to have. Am I willing to put... Yes, I am willing to put heavier things in the deck. I mean, I don't really have any other options. If I try and take the long way around, I'm probably going to starve before I... So going back, so that's, let's say that's 8, 16, 24. Yeah, we will be taking damage from starvation. So we're going to make our last stand. The best defense is a good offense, right? As the convoy took a broke to clear the road ahead of us, smoke quietly came to me. I know this is unusual, but I was wondering if you could spare some extra rations tonight. Today is Spectre's birthday, so I think that we should have a small celebration. No, but you may take part of your future rations ahead of time. We can spare some rations, we can spare plenty. That's a really grim one. I feel so bad. We'll give some. As we finished setting up camp, Spectre took some extra rations and surprised Smoke with a modest spread of food. A small group was invited to join the celebration, and in the hours after the small feast, smiles could be seen throughout the camp. So the last time that I played this, I actually lost to Hope, and Hope is a little harder for me to get back, so I'm willing to do the trade of food for Hope, but not too much. Our journey was abruptly halted by the yelled warnings of our outriders. We reached for our weapons, and suddenly the enemies were upon us. Alright, let's see if we can make the magic happen here. Machinist Monk level 7 elite. The elusive scavengers and holy men of the machinists are often accompanied by a host of tamed machines. 21 health, inspired troops at the end of your turn. All friendly units gain +1/+1, and smart targeting. When a follower with cost 3 or less joins your side, that follower gains sniper. We are doomed. There is no way I'm getting out of this alive. Alright, I'm going to switch out one of the bolsters. So I've got enough to just dump everything in my hand on the table. Oof, that is a spicy start. Okay, they're going to have to go through the Wanderer, so I'm going to give them a boost. Let's do... So my hope here is that I'm going to be able to use the poison on the Scavenger Savant, but first things first, we're going to do as much damage as we can onto this guy. Shockingly, they did not push the attack. Oh no, that's because the guy just got summoned. Okay. Stalwart. So again, this is going to open them up to being able to use their poison. So many Savants! But I'm getting all the taunts, which is nice. So... It's tempting to shiv this guy in the back. I hate that I'm doing this, but... Ugh, yeah, that's ugly. That's over. Defeat! And I played poorly, but there it's life. Okay. With our prophet fallen in combat, we were at the mercy of our attackers. They wreaked havoc through the convoy, taking what they wanted, while the followers scattered to escape certain death. A few regrouped and decided to march on, but without the vision and power of the prophet, there was little hope. It wasn't long before the stragglers perished or abandoned the path. Game over. You're on the road for 74 days. 16 places visited, 7 fights won, 36 units destroyed, 2 followers lost. We unlocked the Echo. I'm trying to see what the difference is. Oh, it's just extra things. Okay. That's definitely a regression from the last time we played. So I probably only have... We lost... Yeah, shocking that I would have lost with that kind of play. I don't know if I'll have time for another full run, but let's see if we can reclaim my honor. I definitely, one of the things I've noticed with this game is I definitely spend a lot more time in it before losing, but I'm not particularly mad about it. Like, I don't feel like I've wasted a whole bunch of time in a run. But let's see if we can learn some lessons from that. I'm still going to stay with the Outcasts, but apparently we've got the Outcasts and then... Okay, so we've got the Echo as the class here. But what we're going to do here is we're going to try and take the lessons from last round and see if we can apply them to a better run this time. This world is broken. Only the strong and the ruthless prevail in this land of ruins. Hope is for the naive and the weak. Until I heard its call from the night sky. The falling star spoke of power and forgotten knowledge. It told me where I would land long before it smashed in Soma. Its voice was weak and fragmented. but it carried the promise of a way out, a path to change. And it gave me purpose. It took me weeks to cross through Soma's wilderness. Then its impact shook the heavens. Hissing with heat, the sand around it had turned into glass. Then it spoke of the crypt for the last time. I'd spoken to machines before, but none had been this powerful, this keen, yet it was dying. In blue light, it painted a mandala into the dusty air. With this fractal symbol, it showed me glimpses of ancient knowledge from before the crash. Etched in hard light, it told me how to find and open the crypt, this place of legend. Then the fallen star spoke to me. You help, power, safety, and knowledge. In the crypt, you lead them. As the machine died, its light slowly subsided. I could hear words of prayer and mantras all around me. Others must have seen the trail of fire, heard the stars whispered, and followed it here too. Their eager faces told me that they had heard the machine speak to me. The prophet, they chanted. And so my followers had found me, and together we would find the crypt. Okay, so we won't inspect anything, we'll just carry on. It was the darkest hours of night when suddenly we heard a commotion at the edge of camp. A raider, his face painted and his body decorated with human bones, wielded a knife as he stood while he stood over Swaminath. Behind him, other raiders were trying to carry off 3 tied-up followers into the darkness. With a sharp battle cry, we threw ourselves onto the attackers. So apparently one of our people are already wounded. And we attack. Raiders are quick and well organized. Once they've got your scent, they're hard to shake. Okay, I love bandit sappers. I don't really need the healer this early. I'd normally like to switch out the wild hand to see if I can do something, like if I can get a 1 or something like that, but I'm okay with this. We'll also have the reinforce if nothing fancy comes up. Okay, so we do have a wanderer. I actually kind of like that. A decoy that damages. Okay. So I'm trying to minimize the number of people that I lose on this first run. Okay, now fortunately, I don't need to worry about this. So it's a defender, but it doesn't have taunt, which means I can hit this guy in the face. So the new question is, who do I want to get the bonus damage? I think I'm actually going to give it to my taunt. Alright, water and sweets. As well experienced. The dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. Right next to the road, there was a huge motor wagon that apparently had broken down. A small group of scavengers were already working on it. They gave us hostile looks when we came closer, trying to make a show of brandishing their feeble weapons. We can threaten them, we can trade for valuables, or we can move on. Threaten. This was our claim now. If they wanted to keep their lives, they would have to leave the scavenging to us. They bared their teeth but backed down. The weapon still had plenty of good parts that we systematically harvested, while the scavengers watched on with unconcealed expressions of hatred. I'm not being the nice prophet now. The path ahead was blocked by barricades. A band of feral warriors sporting primitive weapons and bright decorative scars were crouching behind it. We also spotted some of them lurking on either side of the road. An audibly nervous voice shouted from the barricade, demanding a tribute for passing. Attack. Healing and slinging curses are the daily business of a shaman. Both are pretty useful on the battlefield. Alright. Not the worst draw I could get, but I'm going to switch out the Neural Shiv and It's not bad to have a taunt in round 2, I suppose. And of course I get my beloved Zapper, so... I don't think I want to do the static charge, so let's clear... Oh, cool. So I guess the question is, do I want to do the shot to the face? Normally I wouldn't, but that can actually be... in this case I'm going to make an exception. Just because if I get a +1 on this character, then I can end the match. Pity. Alright, well, we'll put down the Warrior Monk as a starter. Okay, so they've got a taunt. So, let me think about how I can deal with the taunt. Ideally, I don't want to lose anybody to taking them out. Unfortunately, the 4 damage isn't quite enough to finish the job. Wait. Oh, hang on. No, it's I need to deal with the taunt because otherwise, like, this thing is dead. Oh, hang on. Yeah, I can just shoot them in the face. I don't know why I had to think so hard about that. It's kind of like the scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Don J, anyone else think this game is just really hard? I find it difficult. I won't lie about that. The thing is that I also compare it to, like, when I first played FTL. Like, one of the first things I did when I moved to the city I live in now, Ottawa, was I played FTL and I got my first normal, flagship fight. That was the first time I'd won that game on the normal difficulty, and I'd owned that game for, like, over a year. So I think it's kind of customary for roguelikes like this not to be the thing that you'll get through to the very end. In my own assessment, I'm not very good at deck building, so it's not surprising to me that the management of the follower element is one of my weakest areas, and it's where I think I'm tending to lose a lot of things. But I think the difficulty of the game is enough. I was talking about that. We just lost, actually, Don J. So I think when I lose this game, the thing is that while I do put a lot of time into a run, I don't feel pissed off when I lose. It's just an opportunity for me to sort of learn and move on. I know there's an easy mode in the game now. I don't actually know what the difference is for that one. But in my view, it's like, I actually agree with you when I think the game is kind of hard, but I wouldn't necessarily change it because I kind of like this fact that I'm sort of building myself towards a really satisfying win. And I know the thing that kind of keeps me playing games like this is the fact that it kicks my ass at the beginning, and then over time I just think it's a piece of cake. But that's my own experience. Like I think it's just a question in terms of how much a player's willing to put up with. If anybody's tried Easy, by the way, I'd love to know if that's something I should try. The Gram is present all over Soma, and the Musk of the Alpha can be used to attract smaller beasts, and if you believe some, it even endurance when ingested? I'm not quite sure what they mean by that. When equipped Alpha Pheromones at the end of your turn, if you have an energy maximum of 6 or more, a Beast 2/1 joins your side. That's very cool. Alternatively, I can dismantle it for Refresh and refresh target friendly follower. That's also kind of cool, but not as cool as getting a 2/1 beast for being manly. The dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. So I suppose one nice thing about this slightly more aggressive approach that I'm taking this time around is it's like I'm not losing resources, which is kind of nice. There's an interesting question here about the food. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is equip. I'm going to equip the horn powder. So I think I'm going to go to the township. I think I will actually get the food. I'm curious what we can find in the trade so we might wind up losing some of the food, but I think this gives me enough to sort of risk it. So, source for new followers, ferals, and has an active market.
I would never want to belong to any club. Have someone like
Is that right? I'm sorry, I'm having a little hard reading because I've got the preview on such a small. It is Riku the Ninja, I think. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Thank you very much for the follow. Right, so recruiting followers. What do I want? So rage if unit attacks and destroys its target follower, refresh the rage unit. It'd be nice if it would explain what refresh is somewhere other than the manual, but... add a rock convoy card to your hand? Yeah, it doesn't say what a rock is, though. I think I'm gonna pass over it. Let's sell the electronics. Bits and pieces of electronics are always handy when patching up your fusion rifle or tractor. Valuables can be sold for batteries wherever there's a shop, so we'll just liquidate that. It is kind of tempting to buy the fruits, because obviously we did lose to not having enough food last time, but I think we're going to... I think we're going to pass by. Alright, let's see what the mountain pass gives me. As the sun set, we found a perfect campsite next to a clear river. There was chunky crayfish in the water and fruits in the purple-leaved trees at the river's banks. Some of the trek claimed that this could only be the work of the gods, and so we thanked the heavens for our luck. So we got 23 for our trouble. Like I said, I'm gonna go, so this little detour, it's gonna cost me 8 here. It doesn't say how far. Mountains, home of a skilled teacher. The reasoning here is if we don't find like a secret path or anything like that, I can... No, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to maximize my coverage. We're actually going to go to the mountains here first, then the... Oops. Then we're going to check out the trade area. And if we have to double back, then we can just go to the normal crossroads. Avendira came to us with Tavicia in tow. We've been sick since the morning, and we can't keep any food down, they said, fatigued. Worried looks were exchanged. This could be the beginning of an epidemic. So we can abandon both, or we can keep them. Let's keep them. We couldn't leave behind those we had sworn to protect and guide. The woman and her child were allowed to ride on the wagon. By the evening, the health of both had improved. Our path passed by a large dam that blocked the entire valley. It was heavily decorated with flags and ornaments of the Union. A well-maintained road led to the dam, but there was a checkpoint with a fierce-looking soldier guarding it. Let Swimnath talk. The sergeant gave us a firm look, but then waved us through. Okay, let's start by checking out the dam. In front of the dam, a crowd had gathered in front of a small stage where the head of a committee was apparently giving a speech. Approach. As we stepped closer, we realized that this was some sort of trial. A group of hardy prisoners seemed to have been accused of treason. They were held in chains and guarded by Union soldiers. The head of the committee was just about to pass his verdict. For spreading false news against the Union and harboring criminal thoughts, I sentence you to death by hanging. And of course, we'll intervene again because I'm set in my ways. Level 2, so he's got 3 armor, 5 health. And adept at building defenses and tunnels. These armored sappers are everywhere the Union has a foothold. That looks like a lot of stuff I'm going to have to deal with. I'm going to accept this start, but this might be really tough. Okay, so ammo cache. When a follower enters battle as a neighbor, that... Okay, good news. So, one wanderer. I think I'm also going to buff the scout. So I would have wanted to draw the hermit for the bonus leader card, but honestly, 7 damage on our first 2 guys, one of them with taunt, that's really good. Okay, we won. So this guy's already blessed. Hello, the Eyes of Sin. It's very good to see you. How are you feeling? How are you doing? How is your cleaning? Folks, for those of you who don't know, I think... I'm going to be honest. I don't know what the reaction to this is going to be, but I'm going to do this anyway. Uh-oh. Where is it? It's hiding. Alright. So, The Eyes of Sin does occasionally stream on Twitch. I would encourage you... I would encourage you to check her out if you are so inclined. You went to Trader Joe's and grabbed a few things, and you got a slushie. I do know you like your slushies, which is that's very good. Now, the reason why I am taking the minute to mention her is not actually her streaming, although that's very nice. One of the chances that I get to see her, and as you can see, she is a very comely young woman. But I would like to draw your attention to art by theeyesofsin.tumblr.com, because I really like her art style, and there are some particular ones that I quite like. I know there are some folks in there, so I know there are people who she knows, and there's some examples of emotes that she does. But there are also little ones, like I really like the one of, I'm not 100% sure if it's a diver or spaceman, because I always assume with the black cover that it's space, but on a jellyfish is one that I quite like. There's also some more sort of spookier themed ones. I always think these are really beautiful, but I know a lot of the ones that really caught my attention are the ones that are a little more cartoonish. I love particularly the salamander with the little crown, the little paper crown. In any case, if you guys would like to take a quick look at her art, I think it is really wonderful. It's from Environmental Station Alpha. Okay, so it is space. By the way, the Eyes of Sin actually gifted Environmental Station Alpha to me. I will actually note that there is a picture of me in this list. It is probably a lot more flattering to me than I really deserve, but it is actually an image that always made me feel very happy whenever I saw it, because it was definitely a much kinder representation of me than I think is true or I deserve. But one way or the other, I will share. You may have noticed that I've fallen behind on blogging a little bit. And one of the reasons for this is that while it is often quite straightforward, like when you are feeling good or like when everything is working well, you can sort of like sit down and like knock it out and there's no problem. And the sort of the tougher thing is when you don't feel like God's gift to whatever you're doing. So like in terms of blogging, there's a ton of stuff that I want to write, and then I'll sit down and I will try to write it, and then it's blank, and then I feel somewhat discouraged, or I'm starting somewhat discouraged, and I just don't get the work done. And it is definitely a bit of a charge, you know, when I stream and people show up. That gives me enough energy to keep streaming. And when people read a blog and they share it or they comment on something that they like that I wrote, that makes me feel a little bit better about what's going on. And I particularly love it when people point out, it's like, oh hey, I liked how you handled X. Like when there's something that I was proud of but I didn't say, hey, I'm really proud I did X. Those are the ones that make me feel really great. So I wanted to take a quick minute to share the work of someone whose art actually really does make me feel a bit better. I genuinely It doesn't matter how many times... I've seen everything on this Tumblr. It does not matter how many times I go through it. I always smile when I see it. And I think particularly if you look just below the emotes that I have, and they're really wonderful, by the way. But if you look just below those and the little sketches of all the different... I'll call them creatures for lack of a better term, because there's some diversity in there. Those are the ones that I actually like the most and kind of make me the happiest. And that's not to say, like, the pixel art is gorgeous. All of the other sketches are really wonderful as well. The ones that I think are self-portraits of Sin, I also think are really lovely. But those are the ones that I always keep coming by, and it does not matter how bad of a day that I'm having. Those are the ones that always put a little smile on my face. And it's not just for the benefit of you guys taking a look at it, but I also don't really feel like I let the Eyes of Sin know exactly how much I enjoy her stuff that often. So I thought I would take a moment and leverage my bully pulpit to talk about her stuff, give you guys a chance to see it, and if you like it, I hope you do take a minute to let her know how much you like it. So, and now having probably made her not want to speak up in chat, I will get back to the game and hope not too many of you are turned off by me sharing off the artistic efforts of a milady. After the fight, we freed the convicts from their chains. They had no other place to go except to join us. We took a few supplies and then swiftly returned to the caravan. 24 food is not too shabby at all. Let's add them. I think in this case, I'm just gonna straight up add everything that I get to the deck. And we don't, we can't do anything else here, so now we're gonna see if we can find the valuables. The best case scenario is we find a path to here. If we don't, that's fine, because we can just double back, and I will always be taking a look at new places. So. The sound of drums was rumbling in the distance, and we could smell the smoke of wood fires. We cautiously advanced and happened upon a large camp of blue devils. The mercs had gathered around a giant wooden pyre where they were burning the body of a decorated veteran. Join the ceremony. We sent a delegation over to pay our respects to the fallen. The blue-skinned mercs told us about the deceased. He was a decorated veteran of many fights, a giant that had lived with the parasite for almost a decade, until he finally passed away from the very disease that made him an unstoppable killing machine. We watched in silence as his body was burned and his ashes were scattered. And we gained Believa. This shows how spiritual and religious your convoy is. At a clearing, we found the corpses of at least half a dozen travelers, apparently torn apart by beasts. We buried their remains, but also relieved them of their valuables, since they weren't in need of them anymore. So we gained some lumber and some machine parts. So total of 15 batteries worth if we can liquidate it. And fortunately, so the nice thing about this is I get to avoid the tough fights. So we will carry on to the crossroads. A little off the road, we spotted a creek with clear water and bordered by lush fields with berries. We took as much as we could carry. Now, I'm a little curious about this blue. It could be that it's rare, or it could be that we've gotten to a max. Well, we definitely haven't gotten to a max, so... Crossing the road, we spotted the tracks of a herd of salta birds. These large, flightless herbivores were excellent hunting game. Let Tank lead the hunt. After a few hours, our hunting party returned with some meat and other spoils. Okay, we're doing well for food. So the Royal Keep, the next milestone on our travels, defended by the bandit executioner. We were approaching our next milestone when a shot whistled past my head, a full second before the crack of gunfire could be heard. Everyone scrambled for cover, while precise measured shots peppered our caravan. Finally, there was a break in the shooting, and a masked figure, flanked by bandits and sporting an expensive weapon, appeared on our flank. Nothing personal, we've just been waiting a while now, and you're just too tempting of a target to pass up. Okay, 20 health, marksmanship. When you play an attack card, deal 2 damage to the enemy leader. That's gonna hurt. She's skilled enough to take out her opponent's command structure quickly and precisely. This makes looting a lot easier. I'm going to skip out on the Neural Shiv right now because I think we're going to need as much shooty as we can get. So I'll drop the Hermit, I'll drop the Initiate, and I'll reinforce at the start. I'm going to start with the Hermit just in case that changes my plans. Well, I can reinforce, but I won't. Well, apparently I will. Ouch. Okay, I'm curious what Blackout does. Yikes. Okay, let's drop the... Ooh. I'll drop the Devoted Guard. I really don't want to use the Quick Shot for this. But if I drop the Static Charge or anything else, I'm going to lose this guy, and I'm not quite ready to do that yet. So let's do the damage that we can. Alright, Shrapnel Trap is going to be a problem. So I can take my lumps and drop the Enforcer. All right. Now that frees me up to drop. I couldn't do the Enforcer now, but... Well, let's do a Convoy card. Nope. If I do a Convoy card, I can't get the Monk, so... Okay, so they're not going to be able to attack because they're behind the rock here. Shifty Scavenger is tempting in this case, but I'm going to drop the Enforcer. Mostly because it's getting a little crowded here. And let's draw a Convoy card. And I have no interest in freeing this thing. They're going to need another turn to get out from cover, and it's potential that we can take them out next turn. Unlikely, but possible. Hey! And my manly scent has attracted a beast. Okay, they didn't take my guys out, so let's say... Devoted Guard gets the blessing. So there's two things that I think have really improved in this game. It used to be that I would never field wounded characters because it was all risk and no real benefit. Now they cost less to put on the field, and so it can actually be beneficial to put them on the table. Number two, I like the fact that you get a bonus for the character who delivers the coup de grace. So I lost some health on that. One wound, lost one follower, but all in all, I think that's a pretty decent run through the first level. So the dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. The Ziggurats stretched towards the skies before us. This was the home of the infamous Raj. From the giant concrete block, the God King ruled his lands. The monolithic building was covered in a myriad of window slits, and bright red banners fluttered from the top, untouched by time. Around the Ziggurat, a sprawling city had formed, a mess of huts and stalls where traders plied their wares. Okay. So, I just want to make sure, yeah, we're okay there. Interesting, we lost hope because of that. Good to know. So I'm going to remember to actually level up my character this time. Level up to increase your maximum health and learn a new card. You can pick only one of the available options, so pick the right one. Again, we'll randomly pick. Coordinated fire, deal 2 damage to all enemy followers for every refreshed follower on your side. Exhaust all your followers. This is a good one if I have a lot of expendable followers. So I think Battle Cry is a little bit more in line with the way that I play the game. I've got new gear, so instead I can bring on a Flash Sleeve. It'll give me 2 armor, Butcher's Glee. When the last enemy unit is destroyed, regain 1 energy. God. Yeah, this is too good to pass up, so I'm bringing that one in. I am not ready to get rid of... I can see myself getting rid of Static Charge at some point, but especially with the armor, this is actually going to become an increasingly more useful ability for me. However, Horn Powder dismantles into Refresh. This can actually really help me out, so I'll go for it. I don't see any benefit in hoarding the... Oh, wait, yes, because we actually want to make sure that we're able to make the most of this. We'll start with sweets. Okay, so we'll start by going to the market. This is just so I can liquidate my lumber and machine parts. Poison Strike. Target follower takes 1 damage and gains poison until the end of the turn. Molotov. While Blaze leader, a target leader discards convoy card, you take 3 damage. Assault Rifle. Forward target follower fights the first target in the opposing row, including the enemy leader. Cool. Is it worth half my batteries, though, is the question. I think we're going to hold off on the market for now. I am tempted to consider buying, like, the canned food here. 36 food for 34? That's a yeah, actually, it's a lot of money, but that's a really good rate to refresh at. We can absolutely afford to heal up here, so I'm not going to go too nuts, just because... What is my max health? Yeah, 2931. I'm not gonna waste food, but okay. I may not have a lot available for recruitment, so essentially the question is any one of these followers worth half to all of my batteries? And a 2 charge with 3/1 is tempting. The Scion Avatar. Fury, all other followers suffer -3/0, so that would be when they're played. Revenge, all followers suffer -0, -3. Wow! Okay, so this guy is like... Yeah, this is really... This is a bold card to play, but it's worth it. I will refrain from that for now, though. Let's go do the usual rounds. The ziggurat was open for travelers, but we had to lay down our weapons when we told the guards that we were operators. An official invited us to enter the palace. The richly dressed bureaucrat brought us to a larger tower in the center of the former prison, with sumptuous views of the rest of the ziggurat. It was lavishly decorated with golden silks and carpets, as well as a small army of slaves ever busy to keep it tidy. We were brought to a hall and instructed to wait, since someone of royal family lineage would receive us soon. An older man dressed in expensive black silks greeted us and brought us to a conference chamber with a giant wooden table. A crystal statue of the Raj itself stood on the table itself. Sorry, a crystal statue of the Raj stood on the table itself. The man, a distant cousin of His Holiness, told us of the ziggurat's greatness. Then we were asked rather directly if we were willing to conduct a mission for His Holiness, or if we could spare a strong warrior for the Raj's forces instead. I definitely do not want to give up my hardliner, so ask about the job. "This is a delicate matter, my friends," the royal cousin confided. "We would need you to deliver some weapons. The local political climate needs change." The tension in the room swiftly ramped up as we realized that we had walked right into a cabal aimed at overthrowing the Raj. Except, a helpful slave girl guided us to the ziggurat's entrance when we were shown to a supply container at the edge of the market. The girl told us to distribute the weapons that evening in the market slave quarters, an area that had seen quite a lot of tension in recent days due to food shortages and the guards' malice. Arm the slaves. After sunset, we met yet another contact near the slave quarters, an elderly veteran servant. He showed us the way to a small gate in the fence nearby. We were instructed to carry the weapons into a barracks. If a guard was to discover us, we would show no mercy. So we'll let Tavisa sneak ahead. We arrived at one of the larger barracks in the center, exploring an alternate delivery route at the back of the building. We found some loosely attached planks that could be shifted to one side, and eager slave hands peeked out of the opening to accept the delivery. Alright, so we gained altruism for that effort. Let's go to the cells. To our surprise, the entrance to the ziggurat was allowed, though we had to leave all our weapons at the door. We were told that the entire complex used to be a prison before the fall. Here, in the former cell blocks, the more influential citizens had made their homes, all on the site of a main control center that was now called the Palace. I don't really want to hire help right now because we don't have a lot of money, so in this case we'll just explore the area again. We took a stroll through the area. The living quarters were quite small and mostly created by joining together several former cells. Our attention was suddenly grabbed by an argument between a man who claimed to be a true-born Raj Guard and a youngster who had only recently joined the ranks of the Guard. Apparently, the true-born could trace his lineage all the way back to the pre-crash prison times. Okay, and finally the city. Our convoy set up just at the edge of the settlement in front of the ziggurat. It was a diverse mix of tent stalls, wooden barracks, and even some houses built from hardened clay and scavenged materials. There was ample space around the entrances to the ziggurat, where guards kept a watchful eye and slaves were sold to the highest bidder. So you can visit the gate or explore the city. Let's explore the city this time. Enjoying our brief contact with civilization, we went to the local food market to eat and chat with the locals. An older merchant complained that the Raj was demanding enormous taxes on all transactions. For that, he kept the ziggurat and surrounding land safe from predators, raiders, and the increasingly hostile cultists. So we got quite a bit of scholarship now. This shows how much your convoy is driven by curiosity and the desire to understand. We are pretty giving and open, and we have some degree of spiritual and religious belief. So I think we decided that I wasn't going to get anything from the market. Nothing's really changed since that. I didn't want to get any followers, so let's leave camp and move along. Buck Black says, "You're back from your first impression, System Talk. Final verdict, you're having a great time. How far did you make it on this current run?" So we just got past the first map. We died horribly last run, actually horribly and very embarrassingly. So I'm back to the question as to whether or not I want to do the long death march, which I think we can actually support now that I've got a lot of food, or if I want to break it up into smaller bits. I think I'm going to do the long march again. So Pit 9, Desert Banded Fort, this rare spot of civilization, is a good place to rest and refuel. Let's see what we're up against. So, unavoidable that we're going to be going after... We're going to have to go after at least one stronghold, but we might as well get some treasures to show for it. We actually also have enough food that it might be worth it to take the long route. Yeah, so I think what we're going to... Oh, see, that's a tricky one. Valuables are cool. The question is whether I want to take the really long route and potentially find another way around this stronghold, or if I want to go for the goodies and then go to the camp. I believe I've made it to the third map in a much earlier version of this game. System Chalk, maybe it's time to change the description of the stream on Twitch. Why? It should say Nowhere Profit, shouldn't it? Let me take a look. I see Nowhere Profit is out on Steam. Maybe I'm misunderstanding? I don't see a description. Okay. I mean, maybe that's a conversation better left for Discord? I don't know. Like, I'm not going to change it now, so... The night guard alerted us as we heard moaning and screaming from one of our women. She was in the midst of labor, surrounded by her family. After a few hours, the miracle of life had come to pass, and our community had grown by one member. Okay, thanks. As we were in the middle of setting up camp, a well-armed and grim-looking group approached the perimeter. Their leader introduced himself, holding up a piece of paper with a sketch of a face. We were looking for a murderous criminal by the name of Jeet, rumored to hide within your convoy. Deliver them to us, and you shall be rewarded. So you'll take no one, we'll pay the bounty. There is no one here by that name, or hand him over. We will openly defy them. If you want him, we fight, I shouted, making the air crackle with electricity. The bounty hunters took a surprise step back, but then stepped forward, ready to battle. Alright. Rashguard Engineer, level 3 enemy. The engineer has learned to make use of all manner of machines to help turn the tide on the battlefield. They've got a total of 10 health behind 8 health, 2 armor for a total of 10 damage. I've got 1 wounded. We should be able to work with this, I think. Johnny, you're my favorite. I'm genuinely curious what the deal with the custodian is. Okay, so that was the bonus ability. So do I want to put down the devoted guard or the... I think I want to put down the... I don't know, actually. I don't really need the taunt right now, so let's put down the raider. Neural Shiv seems a little extreme for this moment. So there's 2 options I have. I can take this guy off the board, or I can go straight for the face and then... Yeah, so they're going to lose their blessing doing this. But I like this option. I could have bolstered them for some extra damage. Oh well. They bravely attacked that obstacle. Okay, let's... God, this is a tough one. So one thing I'm thinking of doing is going for reinforce and then scrapping one of these guys on the chance that I get the sapper. Well, that actually won't matter because I can just punch them in the face. So, devoted guard, raider, there we go. Alright, water and machine parts, 12 food, 7 batteries. With the bounty hunters gone, Jeet was deeply thankful, assuring us that this must have been some sort of misunderstanding. Okay, so I need to make some decisions again. I think probably I'm going to plow through like this. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to go after 2 strongholds, so at least here I'll get something to show for my effort. We can decide what we want to do at the camp, and if we find a secret passage, so much the better, but I don't think that's going to happen, so... Our journey was abruptly halted by the yelled warnings of our outriders. We reached for our weapons. Suddenly, the enemies were upon us. Healing and slinging curses are the daily business of a shaman. Both are pretty useful on the battlefield, so 1 extra health than what we had to put up with last time. This is not a terrible start, although it'd be wonderful if I had a 4 to work with. I'm going to risk it, though. So I think Strong Raider off the start is probably the best bet. Oh yeah, that's perfect actually. So what I can do here, punch to the face, take them down, and now I get to learn what this thing does. Oh yeah, I also get extra energy. I forgot about that. So rock. Oh cool. So I can put up obstacles. That's really fun. Do I want to be greedy and go for the quick shot? I think I do. Now, unfortunately, I don't think there is a way for me to get a blessing on someone here. I think that it's just going to be the raider doing the hit again. If I wanted to try and be clever, I could like put down the static charge or whatever, but I still don't have a way of actually delivering the coup de grace with anybody but the character who already has the blessing, so they're doubly blessed, right? Okay, fruits and sweets. The dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. So I think it's just enough to level up, so level up to increase your maximum health and learn a new card. You can only pick one of the available options, so pick the right one. Wow. Okay, I do really like Quick Shot because it gets me out of a lot of binds, but I feel like Merciless, I can make magic happen. Extra health, and I can start switching things out. Profit, you just unlocked a slot for an additional piece of equipment. Every few levels, a new equipment slot will become available for you to use. Unfortunately, I believe, yes, I did get rid of my, my pheromones, so we're out of money, but we'll get some fancy stuff at the crossroads, I think. We arrived at the site of a battle between unknown armed factions that must have taken place at least a few weeks back. Among the burnt-out vehicles and the decaying, unburied corpses, there was still some valuable loot that we could retrieve, so 15 batteries worth once we can liquidate it. Our outriders reported hearing sounds of an armed skirmish ahead. We cautiously advanced until we came upon an encounter between a caravan of merchants and feral warriors. The merchants had a contingent of Blue Devil mercs on their side, who defended the caravan ferociously, despite being vastly outnumbered by the tribesmen. So we can join the attacking ferals, we can help the caravan defend themselves, or we can avoid the fight. Let's help the caravan. Healing and slinging curses is a daily business of a shaman. Both are useful on the battlefield. I don't think the custodian is exciting enough for me to keep on the table. I'm also not going to have a lot of useless... I'm not going to have a lot of use for Merciless right now, seeing as the majority of characters are going to be 3 or under, so let's see what we get instead. Let's start with Reinforce. Another Custodian, lovely. So in this case I'm going to drop the Wild Hand. This is so I can spawn a beast. The Acid Plant is unfortunate, but that's life. This is a nice target of opportunity. Oh. I actually probably should have put the Wild Hand here so I could have got a 3 attack. Oh well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Garm to take out the Scout. I'm going to put the Warrior Monk down to neutralize the Initiate. And we will get a hit to the Shaman. I'm not too sad about that at all. All my followers take 1 damage and gain +2/+0 till your next turn. So I've got a total of 5 damage right now, add another 4, then we win. So I believe this person... Oh no, they're not blessed. I think I want to have the taunt blessed though, so... Cool, so even more food, and we've got a little bit of money, or things that we can turn into money later. Wait, the Blue Devil commander declared. We are in your debt. Please let our medic tend to your wounded. So 2 health healed on the Prophet. And apparently one of the convoys healed as well. So accepted and move on. We're making camp at a small creek when a ragged band of raiders appeared out of nowhere. Finally, someone has fallen into our trap, the leader taunted, and they started their attack. Level 9, Batted Saboteur. Most people can break, disable, or destroy something, but some people just seem to excel at it. Bring it, nerd. I wind up wasting 1. Okay, so we'll switch out Merciless again just because I don't quite have enough strength at the start to make it worthwhile. And you know what? I don't need the Battle Cry at the start either, so let's see if we get something more exciting. Reinforce is always nice, so let's see what else is available. Devoted Guard, fair enough. But we'll start with a Wanderer and the Hermit. And we get the Battle Cry back, great. Alright, Spike Trap is always something that makes me a little sad. Damn it! Okay, the Hermit can neutralize the Spike Trap. I can't quick shot it because it's shielded. I mean, I suppose my alternative is I drop Merciless, but that seems to hurt me more than it hurts them. I'll get my money's worth. If I was smarter, I would have done Battle Cry and this would be over. Because I would have done... Oh wait, what did it have been? I would have added 4 more damage. No, Oh no, yeah, it totally would have been over because I would have been able to use the quick shot. As it is now, I am 1 shy. So, Scavenger Savant it is, and... we'll see what happens. So I shouldn't have to worry about this character because they're sitting behind an obstacle. Cool. Alright, so now I get to pick who gets an upgrade. And I kind of feel like the Scavenger Savant is the only option for that, so... Yet even more food, and I'm going to be able to use the fine fabrics when we make camp, but we're not going to be at camp anytime soon, so... Dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. So, I mean, resource-wise, we seem to be doing quite well. I am going to need to find a place to sell stuff, though. This is a tough call. I do have 1 wounded follower, but it seems like such a waste to... It seems like such a waste to spend the food on just 1. I am, however, going to take advantage of the... Wait a minute. Didn't I spend a bunch of money on, like, this super big... Or maybe I already used it. Com company has disposition, advantageous position. Let's do Com Company, because that's one, the highest value, and it will give me a convoy card at the end, at the start of the tougher fight. I think this bonus system that they introduced really made this interesting, because like hope kind of became just another variation on food, where you'd always use it whenever you picked it up. Now you actually need to be a little strategic in terms of distributing it. Oh, I misjudged. I'm one too early. The road headed past the ruins of a larger settlement. The houses already decayed to a point where they were barely visible under the myriad trees and vines. On the former town's outskirts, we were greeted by a grim band of armed locals. They claimed that they had cleared the road for our convenience and demanded tribute for us to pass through. So we can pay them, threaten them, or take a detour. I am perfectly happy to take the detour. We weren't willing to pay them, but there was no need to fight them either. We turned our wagons around and searched for a path around the ruins, but this caused more trouble than we thought, leading to a substantial detour. Of course, all that we do is lose resources which we have in abundance, so that's why I was willing to do that. A rickety, brightly painted truck lay on its side next to the dangerous road. Its windows were smashed and the buckled metal of its body was covered in a layer of dust. However, fresh footprints on the ground led into the cab, and the air was thick with the smell of fruit. Bells that hung sideways from the smashed wing mirror jingled in the breeze, but otherwise there was no sound. Search the trailer. There has to be an ambush that comes out of this. Yeah. We broke open the lock on the trailer and peered through the jagged metal, our weapons at the ready. The air inside the trailer was overwhelmingly sweet. Suddenly a shout reverberated through the trailer, and we turned to see a motley crew of armed figures silhouetted against the light. Alright, 11 Feral Raider. Raiders are quick and well organized. Once they've got your scent, they're hard to shake. That's a narrow path for me to be walking. Let's skip on the battlefield healer for now. Okay, I can live with this. I kind of struggle with these guys, if I'm completely honest. I'm going to start by bringing in the Hermit. This feels like such a waste, but... Oh, that's right. I always keep forgetting the energy I get for wiping out the guy. So the good news is that choice bought me... That choice bought me enough. I've got 5 damage here. I can shoot them in the face. And... that's the ball game. And the blessing goes to the raider. Okay, so even more food, even more valuable metals. The front of the truck was on fire, coughing. The acrid smell of burning rubber filled our lungs. We quickly salvaged any fruit that we could grab from the trailer. This is ridiculous. I don't think I've ever had this much food in a run before. So the one drawback here is that I'm not able to inspect the convoy and get another bonus for distributing luxuries. But again, we're in fairly good shape. Like, beyond having a bonus, I'm not entirely sure what else I could really be expecting for Stronghold. The road passed by a large overgrown complex surrounded by ancient greenhouses and fields, but still being tended by someone. Karun informed us that he had heard of this place. My mother told me about it. Before the crash, the elders studied plants and agriculture here. Approach. At the entrance, we met the inhabitants, an entrenched group of well-armed farmers. Their leader spoke from behind a barricade, telling us that they were in need of some batteries for repairs and would gladly give us food in return. That is not worth it at all. Unfortunately, we are 1 short on Scholar to offer expertise, but we're going to leave. What seemed like a peaceful and quiet evening was interrupted by shouts and gunfire coming from the direction of our first wagon. We grabbed our weapons and prepared to confront the attackers. Level 6 elite, so this is going to be character building. They've got a healing aura. At the start of your turn, heal all of your damaged followers by 1. Whew, okay, but it's 5 turns, so hopefully the weaker guys are going to be using that. Healing and slinging curses are daily business of a shaman. Both are pretty useful on the battlefield. Do I want to rock? Not really. Let's see if I can get something better. And I will redraw the refresh because I don't need that right now. Ooh, that's not great. This character's gonna kill my hermit, so I either need to trade out the hermit or I need to trade out the spark shaman. In this case, I'm gonna trade out the spark shaman at the start. What the? Yeah, okay. So good news on the raider, and I'll put down the hermit because why not, right? Well, bizarre. Okay, what can I do to make this? I can take a battlefield healer. Oh, they're still going to be down 1 health though. I am a bit nervous about the risk that I'm taking on this. It paid off. Okay, very lucky I didn't put my usual taunt down. So I think we might as well just keep bullying this guy. I'm gonna get an extra 1 energy off of this, so I actually probably could have done 1 quick shot and then used the battlefield healer, but that's life. We'll put down the scout, and again we'll just do as much damage as we possibly can to this guy. I don't think I'm going to go overkill with the quick shot though. That seems like a really good tool to get rid of little units. Cool. So I can end this. It would have been great if I could have given the coup de grace to a blessed unit, but all right. Food, batteries, some survivors. We lost 1 person, but I mean even then we're net 2 for adding people to the deck. The dead bodies of our enemies littered the area. So, welcome to... Let's see what happens to hope. Oh, cool. So we actually gain hope for losing people. So we've got Cutthroat Stealth. Unit can't be attacked by enemy units and can attack all enemy units regardless of position. Lasts until this unit takes damage. And then we got a couple of Pathfinders. Fury, pull the unit or obstacle in the last tile of the opposing row, and deal 1 damage to all other followers and constructs. So, okay, so we still have a slog to get to the very end. I'm thinking probably, given all the stuff that I've got, we want to go here, and then I just want to take advantage of as many places that I can visit before taking on the stronghold. This is going to be like hell, I'm sure. But let's start by leveling up. Nice. All of your followers with attack 3 or less gain +2/+0. God, that actually seems like a That seems like a really good one too. So I want to have a... Well, you know what? How often do I really use Neural Shiv? Like, this is an even better... Neural Shiv is an even better version of this one, so... But see, this could be used to, like, execute opponents as well. Yeah, I'm too cheesy to pass up a good headshot, so... let's carry on. This is normally the time I'd be finishing now, by the way. But the sharp tones of a signal whistle interrupted an otherwise perfectly peaceful afternoon. The outrider who had sounded the alarm was riding back to the camp, pursued by a gang of feral attackers armed with spears and guns. So level 5, Feral Chieftain. The best chieftains combine a strong hand with innate knowledge of people's skills and their weaknesses. They've got 13 health. Let's see if we can carry on a good habit of not losing people. Not the strongest group of people I can deploy at the beginning. Let's switch out the Custodian. Rat. Okay, I can work with that. I am super tempted to, like, charge these two guys into the face and then drop Merciless, because I'm gonna lose them anyway. Screw it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh my god, it's got level 4. What was I thinking? Oh, that's so bad. That is the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. And yet the game apparently has mercy on me despite that ridiculous... That was such a bad choice. Sorry, for some reason I always keep reading the attack and the health the wrong way around. I just put myself on the back foot doing this. Let's say... Crashjacker and... Crashjacker and Prayer. Cute. I mean, the AI is definitely being really nice to me right now. If I can find... Okay, so Battle Cry gives me 8, Shot gives me 10. Oh my god, why am I such an idiot? I meant to attack the Garm. God damn it. Oh, Jesus Christ, they're gonna take this guy out now. Ouch. What a catastrophe. Alright. Hello, Ego Karen. Good day. It's finally here. You wanted to ask if you were going to play it, and I'm already doing it. Yeah, I'm actually probably going to be wrapping up pretty soon. I don't think I'm going to lose to this one, but holy crap, what the hell was I thinking? Alright, Monk. Beast. I think I'm going to leave that for now. Jesus Christ. I don't deserve to live. Oh my god. What a shameful display after an otherwise really good run. That's 2 taunt on the table, by the way. Okay. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, Ego. I think you probably saw me play it the first time, but the 1.0 version is definitely solid. Like, they've added a couple of things that I think have really improved the, I think they've just really improved the game in terms of some of the trade-offs that you face. You know, it's very likely I'm actually going to see the end of this run because I was too stupid to use a 2 damage on the Garm rather than... yeah, man, this is gonna live on forever in YouTube, and I will just have my shame displayed for everyone. I think I'm gonna spread out the damage. I mean, they can kill me this round anyway. But yeah, they've added a lot of things that I think make the trade-offs really really interesting in the game. And I don't know, the animations and all, like the polish on it is definitely there, which is always nice, right? But overall, I think they've just done... I feel like they've just done some nice things in terms of, like... Man, what a terrible way. Ego, that's actually it for tonight, because I was going late, because this was such a good run, and then I just totally blew it on a really, really stupid move. But I actually think this is one of the reasons why it's such a good game. I really like the fact that you can turn the table, because I mean, like the first run that we had something where it seemed like I was facing certain death, and we were able to pull it out in the last minute. So it's a little frustrating that I didn't take 10 seconds to just think through the position a little bit more, because I specifically thought, I was okay, I'm not gonna end it here, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, I can add the two health here, and I'm like, nope, because the guy's got taunt, and yeah. But yeah, I don't know, like, that's why I like learning games, right? I'm sure, actually, yeah, so this is, okay. If you are watching on YouTube and you are now writing a comment about what an idiot I am right now, I don't fucking care. Like, if you want to tell me how to play this game properly, I'll just delete the comment. It is the one thing that will make me feel bad during the day, and if you want to make me feel bad during the day, you found the way. But normally the YouTube comments are unsurprisingly very positive. So I know what I did wrong. If it'll make you feel better, I will be your... I will take on your sins, and your day apparently will feel better if you want to tell me how to play the game. But you should try winning Worst Gamer Ever. But yeah, no, like, I think I actually... Having played this a little bit and always getting my ass kicked by the game, I actually really like how I kind of walk away with a do something, like, here's something you should know for next time from the game without it explicitly telling me. I will admit, I think this is just because I'm a little unfamiliar with the way the game works. Like, I tend to get a little impatient on things like this. I feel really self-conscious when I sit down and say, here's going to be plan A, plan B, plan C, or whatever, or here's the order in which I'm going to do things. And when I take the time and explicitly state it, it tends to go very well, and as soon as I start going on autopilot, it all falls apart. And in one sense, it might just be because I haven't picked up on the visual cues for things like that yet. Like, it obviously had a big red circle around it to tell me that it had taunt, but just because I didn't register that, I obviously made a big consequence. That was a consequence. I'm wondering if it would be good to have an undo button. I kind of feel like an undo button would not be bad here. Because in the end, like, so if you put an undo button in something like Magic the Gathering, then that renders something like an interrupt completely useless, right? Whereas if you have an undo button in here, there's no like secret ability that suddenly like detonates and prevents you from doing it. And I actually feel that that would be a little bit better in terms of learning the game, because if you think about it, right, like we probably would have made it to at least the third or fourth screen based on what I had. And but for me losing my mind and not realizing how that worked, I kind of feel like an undo button would have given us like another 20 or 30 minutes of content at least. But obviously you probably should not take game design lessons from somebody who just lost to your game. I think I might actually put that into support though, because I feel there's been a couple of times where I've wanted it and I just haven't vocalized it. But anyways, this game just came out today. With our Prophet fallen in combat, we are at the mercy of our attackers. They wreaked havoc through the convoy, taking what they wanted, while followers scattered to escape certain death. A few regrouped to decide to march on, but without the vision and power of the Prophet, there was little hope. It wasn't long before the stragglers perished or abandoned the path. So, that's a shame. I really wanted to see where that run went, but it's like FTL, right? Sometimes you invest a lot in your ship and then you make a bad decision and you have to watch it all fall apart. So, sorry to end on a you idiot note. But sometimes that is how it works. I'm going to take a minute here and put up the credits. Ego, I feel particularly bad because I know you're just arriving right now, but it's actually just after midnight for me and I had some stuff I wanted to get through tonight, so I'm sorry to do this to you. I will definitely encourage you guys, if you like card games, if you like roguelikes, this is definitely one that should be on your radar. It's currently 10% off because it was just released today. You can buy it on Steam. You can also buy it on itch if you are so inclined. I am actually playing an itch copy because that was what Martin Nerikar, the designer, gave me, and I happen to like itch, so that's a good fit as well. I'm just trying to think what else there is to say about it. I mean, it's a really well done game. I like games like FTL and Into the Breach and all of that, so I think this takes... You're normally a big fan of you idiot moments, but now it's sad. Yeah, I'm sorry, Ego. I mean, the VOD's still there if you want to watch that. You can scream at your monitor for... But yeah, I mean, I am really bad at doing reviews. I will tell you, the first thing that appealed to me about this game was how it was sort of like a card-driven FTL. I definitely think sort of the selling feature of the card game part is how the members of your convoy are cards, and it creates this interesting dynamic of like, do you want to lose them to their wounds or not? Oddly enough, that run, I was very much like, we're not healing anybody, we're throwing people into the maw and just running with it. And it actually seemed to work out pretty well, so I think I probably need to start learning to be a little less risk-averse in this game, and I'll start doing better. It will punish you severely for rushing, because this is exactly the problem I ran into when I first played the game. So if you're impatient like me, but you get easily frustrated, that might be something that will turn you off of the game. I will also say it's not easy. Like, it is a challenging game, and it is enjoyable for the challenge, in my opinion. But if you're not ready for something like that, I can definitely see how it can turn someone into, turn someone off. But by and large, if you like roguelikes, if you like card games, this is a really unique and a really enjoyable one. I have not played Slay the Spire, which a lot of people compare it to, so unfortunately I can't give you a recommendation along those lines, but don't listen to him. This is definitely a personal attack on you. You're the reason the stream is ending right now. Johnny, there are definitely people who have been like that, and Ego Karen is not one of them. I think you know the people I've ended the stream because of. But yeah, I would definitely strongly encourage you guys to check this game out. It is worth mentioning, so this is a game that has been in development for a very long time by the designer. No More Robots picked it up. Apparently, it has done reasonably well on global top sellers in terms of what their expectations were. But I do need to express, like, this is something by, you know, somebody who did not buy a version of Unity Plus except for a couple of days before this thing was released to be able to take the Unity logo off. If you are one of those people who cares about making sure that a developer is supported for buying the game, please do consider getting it like early and now. We are in the age of the Steam algorithm. It is 10% off for launch. And I know it is very hard to convince people, especially after a Steam sale, to pay full price for games. But it is not overwhelmingly expensive. In terms of Canadian, it's about 26 bucks. I think it's worth it, but you may make your own decisions on that. If you are not compelled, or if your backlog is sufficiently long enough that you don't think it is worth it for buying on your own, I would please ask that you at least consider wishlisting it, because the fact of the matter is that we all get interested in about games, and it's, you know, there's other things that are going to come by, and when the thing goes on sale at a price you would have been willing to buy it, if you don't have it on your wish list, you may not necessarily know about it. Wish lists really do help developers. They also wind up bringing more attention to the game. So if this game is appealing to you, but for whatever reason it's not something you want to pick up right now, it does not cost you anything to add it to a wish list, and I would recommend doing that. I say this, of course, one, because the developer did give me a key for this game, but number two, I really do feel like we've had a very good run on this stream for weird little, not even weird little indies, but fun little indies like Cultist Simulator, like Nowhere Profit, like a lot of this stuff. And it's, I mean, Night Team 4 is actually another example of something that just kind of came out of the blue and I really loved. And obviously this stuff doesn't happen without a market for them. So obviously it's up to you to decide what you'd like to do with your money. But there are some other ways that you can help at least raise awareness of the game if you don't wind up putting your hard-earned money down. So you haven't seen that much gameplay of it. Would you say it's narratively satisfying, Chalk? So Mordvan, I would definitely not say that the narrative is the first thing for this game. It's interesting, like, don't get me wrong. The problem is I've not gotten to the end of the game, and usually that's where the real dramatic stuff happens. So it's a fun ride. I like the idea of playing this, you know, this prophet driving people through the way. It's an interesting world that they've set up. The rule book kind of introduces all of these different factions. So bandits, beasts, blue devils, rusters. And these are people who can also join your convoy. So there is content in the game as far as narrative and different events in that. But it's a little bit like FTL. So like FTL has a perfectly serviceable story, and obviously as you go through the events, the context from the game creates new resonance, right? So obviously when your ship is on the verge of being destroyed and you decide to sell one of your crew members into slavery, you know, a decision that you normally would never make inside of the game suddenly becomes this really interesting moral dilemma. So in addition to that, which kind of happens in a lot of roguelikes, this game does have sort of this interesting, I think they call it dust punk environment. So I definitely do not want to give the narrative I don't want to undervalue it. But I do also want to stress, like, to me, the bigger draw is the process of sort of building your convoy in a way that you get an interesting deck. And as you could see, like, the way that I just so rapidly got demolished by one bad decision, like, the fact that the game really can turn, like, again, it worked against me in this particular case, but the fact that you get these really dramatic swings in terms of what's going on, like, to me, I live for that stuff because it just makes it more interesting. You never feel safe. And it also means that if you're able to do what the AI did to me, you're able to turn what seems like a hopeless situation into a big turnaround, all of which is really good. So, yeah, I mean, narratively satisfying, it's not it's not a Telltale game. It's, you're not gonna sit down and sort of feel like you've watched a movie by the end of it. But I think there's enough there to be interesting. But I would say that this is definitely one that, for me, I'm playing a little bit more for the mechanics, and I can consider it like a nice bonus that I get an interesting world, sort of post-apocalyptic world where I have special abilities for a machine. So I hope that doesn't turn you off the game more, Van, but I really do need to articulate that my views of the narrative have really come from the fact that I haven't gone more than 2 or 3 screens. So yeah, so it's not Cultist Simulator. Like, Cultist Simulator is a narrative game told through cards. Nowhere Profit is a card game which has an interesting narrative to it. So like, if you're looking for, like, this guy worked on the UI for Cultist Simulator, but it does not mean that this game is Cultist Simulator only in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Like, you definitely should, you definitely need to like card games and roguelikes to get the full experience out of this, I think. Which obvious, I mean, I know that sounds obvious, but, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like the distinction needs to be made. All right. Sorry for filibustering. I am going to leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Cool Eagle, who is currently playing BattleTech. Cool Eagle has been seeing a lot of growth on his stream, which is really rewarding. BattleTech is fun. He plays a mod called Rogue Tech, which seems to be a really good one. Yeah, Ego Karen, I don't know what I'm going to get a chance to play at again, but I want to, and I will. Maybe just a quick word for everyone. I'm going to do my best to record both a Surviving Mars and an Elder Scrolls episode this weekend, so that those should be back on Tuesday and Thursday. Monday, Stellaris. I know it's been a little while since I've done that. Wednesday is Cultist Simulator. Now, as far as Fridays go, there's a few things that I have on deck. So, like, in addition to the Darkest Dungeon, which I want to get back to, there is Night Team 4, there is Hand of Fate 2, and now, of course, there's Nowhere Profit now that it's version 1.0. So I have a lot of stuff that I really want to do. All of it is really great, and I will do my best to give equal time to everyone. But the problem with doing equal time, if you've got 4 games, what that means is you play one of those games once a month, and you wind up disappointing the people who only want to watch that. So I'm going to have to find a new way of distributing everything, but not to worry. I have every intention of playing all of those games, including this game again, and if I get a chance to do a sneaky Saturday cast, I have every intention of doing that as well. But without further... Actually, you know what? Sorry. I do want to kind of help Cool Eagle, but I should do what I did last time. Let's see if anybody's streaming Nowhere Profit. That's probably a little more interesting for people. Hey, we do have somebody streaming. Okay, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to do this to Cool Eagle. Check him out if you like BattleTech. But, Q Marquee is doing No More Profit. More like Somewhere Profit is the title of the stream. Again, I don't know who this person is. But I do have a YouTube channel, bbuckblack. Let me put that in chat. youtube.com/systemchalk. Be warned that the YouTube channel, except for the specific VOD stuff, really is just these streams dumped on there, so you're not going to see the chat. As you can see, I talk a lot, which means that the game is sometimes takes backseat in a frustrating way. But as long as you're willing to put up with me, feel free to check out the YouTube channel. And if you miss anything, those will be up forever, including my embarrassing loss tonight. But change of plans. As much as I would love to help out the Cool Eagle, do feel free to check him out. Give him a follow if you've not checked him out. He is a great guy. But I'd love to continue supporting Nowhere Profit, and Q Marquee is doing the game right now. So we're going to give them a raid. You know what? I guess let's do... I'll try and do this infernal Twitch raid thing again. I hate using it, to be honest, but I know a bunch of people get transferred over. So in 10 seconds, you will all be heading over to Q Marquees. I do encourage you to join along with the raid. That's a wonderful thing to do for a streamer. Have a good evening. We'll see you next time.